subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
So how can your D-clan reproduce across worlds? Hey, just a joke, just a joke. Luffy scratched his head and said with a smile tap, "The whistle blows." The soccer player was not as gorgeous as the previous player. He just laid down on the mattress. Because the mattress was so soft, it even bounced a little, followed by a rhythmic snoring sound. Tap. Current records, 1 second and 48, breaking the record again. In an instant, there was even louder cheering. Fat Tiger's mood sank to the bottom. His 2 fists pressed on his knees, and even his tone became a little twitchy. Hateful. Nobita. Nobita was surpassed again. There are so many strong people in the world. Wait, it seems like there's something controversial about the referee. The Chinese soccer player, who was supposed to be asleep on the field, suddenly opened his eyes and waved at the 2 referees, as if he wanted to argue something. But it was clear at a glance that he was just pretending to sleep. Pretending to sleep. Damn it, this guy D, Sleeping Ross, is unforgivable. When Fat Tiger and Sunio saw this scene, they both glared at him and shouted angrily. At this time, the commentator also spoke. D, the Sleeping Lows player, was deemed to be faking sleep, and his current record is invalid. Post views 49. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 028, Chapter 28. Beyond the limits of humanity, the well-deserved god of sleep on the Ice River Star. Kara opened her beautiful eyes slightly, put one hand on her mouth, and said in surprise, "What? Even the sleeping competition is cheating." After all, this is a big international competition. Although there are not many people who take risks like this, it is impossible that there are none. Once it is linked to utilitarianism, no matter what it is, someone will have such crooked thoughts. The doctor explained to Kara while comforting Dumbo. Crayon Shinchan World. Noera Hiroshi looked angry and said angrily, "This is outrageous. Actually cheating, and in such a world-class competition. It's such a shame for the country behind us." Yes, Shinchan, you must not be like the guy in the picture in the future. Noera Missy also did not forget to teach Shinchan, "Oh, but Mom, I won't participate in any sleeping competition." Shinasuke nodded and said to his mother, "I know this without you telling me. There is no such competition here at all. Seer World, I knew that guy was so strong. He definitely wouldn't be the type to sleep." Sure enough, it was all within my expectations. Xiaozhi had a proud look on his face. "TSK, you were just talking after the fact." Achida didn't give any face to Xiaozhi and said in front of him. He just couldn't stand the way Xiaozhi was so successful. "Hey, Achida, how do you talk to your captain?" "Umph, I don't have a captain like you." "Gag, teach him a lesson." "Who's afraid of who?" "Xiaomi, come on." Seeing this scene, Calculus sighed. Why do these 2 guys always quarrel? Boys are really incomprehensible creatures. But even though she said this, she still ran to persuade them to stop fighting. "Stop it, both of you. There are still tasks to come. Don't let your elves get hurt." This is really despicable and the most inappropriate behavior for a sleeping player. Really, but in this way, Nobi's record is optimistic again. On the other side, Doraemon's mood also improved a little. Thank goodness, this record is invalid. But if it doesn't exceed Jose's record... Yes, before Doraemon could finish his words, he heard Nobita's voice beside him. Nobita rubbed his eyes and slowly stood up. "Big. Nobita, record whatever you want. Now I just want to sleep." The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. Nobita faced the competition with a calm tone, but he was shocked by Doraemon at all. So cool. In Doraemon's eyes, Nobita's figure is getting taller and taller, like a huge and dazzling. Next up is the representative of Sakura Country, Nobita Nobi. Come on, Nobita. Come on and get some sleep, Nobita. When Fat Tiger and his friends saw Nobita on the field, they all cheered for him. Top. That familiar whistle again. Nobita turned slightly, and time seemed to stand still for a moment. The audience couldn't help but hold their breath and stare at Nobita. He closed his eyes gently and lay down on the bed casually. Doraemon and his companions were so nervous at this moment that it was hard to describe in words. As a drop of cold sweat fell from Doraemon's face, the whistle sounded again. Tap. The huge screen shows Nobita's results 0.97 seconds. Brushed a new world record. Seeing this exaggerated and terrifying result, even the commentator stuttered a little crash, a moment. A torrent of applause broke out in the entire venue. All the audience looked at the sleeping Nobita in disbelief. The 1 second barrier that no human can surpass. Breakthrough. Xiaofu's pupils trembled instantly. Alien world, good, it's amazing. Zhang Chulan stared at the video and said in shock. 0.97, not even 1 second. Oh my god, this Nobita is not cheating. He couldn't help but swear. Nobita's result was really too amazing. Yes, and we have to take into account the time he spent lying on the mattress. I think Nobita fell asleep before he even lay down. The real result is probably even more terrifying. Susan's mood was not much calmer than Zhang Chulan's. Although the sleeping competition sounded a bit nonsensical, it was undeniable that Nobita's grades are truly terrible. This. Could it be that he really fell asleep right away? Susie took a puff of cigarette and complained in a bad mood. Shizuka's home, great. Nobita won. The big stone in her heart finally fell to the ground, and Shizuka's mood instantly became happy. Her palms were sweating from nervousness. Just now post views. 42. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are numb. Chapter 029. Chapter 29. Sleeping is almost useless. Nobita has potential. Digimon World 5. Did you just hear that Sunio said that Nobita broke through the 1 second barrier of humans? This means that Nobita has broken through the limit of human sleep. Daimyo said, in surprise. Breaking through the limit means that Nobita stands at the pinnacle of human sleep. You can be so excited just by watching others sleep. Thomas said nonchalantly, "Hey Thomas, how can you be so calm?" Thomas was speechless. "I'm not interested. If I have so much time, I might as well train your Agumon more." Fujita Shuno said, "But Nobita is really amazing. He deserves to be the god of sleep. This title is not wrong at all. Ben 10 World, so cool. However, falling asleep quickly probably won't help." Although Tian Xiaoban could see that Nobita was very good at sleeping, he really couldn't figure out what the purpose was. Of course it is useful. At this time, a voice came from the side. Tian Xiaoban turned his head and found that the person who spoke was his grandfather, Tian Mark. "Grandfather, Xiaoban. Actually, Nobita's talent for sleeping is very useful. As a soldier, if he had the same talent for sleep as Nobita, it would also mean that he could recover his strength by falling asleep quickly. You know, in a noisy battlefield full of noise, it is already quite difficult to fall asleep, let alone fall asleep quickly. Being able to quickly recover your physical strength can create a huge gap between you and other soldiers on the battlefield, increasing your chances of survival on the battlefield. After all, once a person is in a state of fatigue, all body functions will decline. If a person encounters danger at this time, he will basically be in danger of death. Nobita might be a good soldier. Tian Mark said a lot, as he was a legendary plumber in the past and had experienced several space wars. He naturally understood the importance of Nobita's talent on the battlefield. He had also fallen into a dangerous situation due to physical fatigue. If he had the same sleeping ability as Nobita and used a short period of deep sleep to replenish his physical strength, perhaps things would be completely different. "I understand, Grandpa." Tian Xiaoban nodded. It seems that his previous thoughts were too shallow. But Tian Xiaoban looked at Tian Mark and asked curiously, "Grandpa, how do you know so much?" "Ah." Mark Tian scratched his head and explained, "I read it in the newspaper before." He didn't want his grandchildren to know his identity. At least he wanted to delay it for a while. Let this peaceful summer vacation continue. The undefeated soul of sleep. Fat Tiger suddenly stood up from his seat, tears streaming down his face. "I am so touched. What an amazing sleeping technique. A new undefeated record set by Nobita Nobi. Now, into the victor's eternal rest." It was so exciting that he was drooling on the commentary stage. Deki was so moved that tears came out. I am not inferior to him in either study or sports, but there is no way I can surpass him if I only sleep. Such a person, now Doraemon Universe, at the home of Mushin, How could I say such a thing? Izumi covered his face tightly, feeling so embarrassed that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Such words were too embarrassing for him. But Nobi-kun is really amazing. Another commentator also shouted, "Excellent. Thank you for bringing us a touching sleep. And congratulations on breaking the world record." The last scene freezes on Nobita's drooling face while sleeping. The light screen also slowly dims. This video has ended and the rewards have been issued. At Nobita's house, just as the light curtain dimmed, a ball of golden light appeared on Nobita's hand. With the experience from last time, Nobita was not frightened this time. "Nobita, what is the reward this time?" Doraemon and his companions all moved closer to Nobita, staring at the ball of light in Nobita's hand. The golden light faded, revealing the true face inside. It turned out to be a pillow. What? It's actually a pillow. The light screen this time is too stingy. Fat Tiger said disappointedly. After all, the reward for Nobita's last video was too generous, but this time he only got a pillow. In comparison, the difference is a bit too big. Nobita ignored Fat Tiger, and a light screen appeared in front of him. "Tired pillow. As long as you lie on this pillow, no matter how conscious the user is, you will feel sleepy in an instant and fall asleep quickly. Can this pillow help people fall asleep quickly?" Nobita was stunned, but after thinking about it carefully, it seemed to have no effect on him. He also needs to fall asleep quickly? The title of the God of Sleep is not a joke. Doraemon also heard Nobita's words, understood the function of this pillow, and suggested, "Otherwise, give it to Mom and Dad. I see they seem to suffer from insomnia very often." That's right. After being reminded by Doraemon, Nobita also thought it was a good idea. Then he temporarily put the tired pillow in Doraemon's four-dimensional pocket. "Doraemon, don't lose it. Don't worry." Doraemon patted his pocket and said with a smile, Hey. Fat Tiger laughed a few times and held Nobita in his arms. I said, "Nobita, I also suffer from insomnia very often. Can you lend me this pillow for a few days?" Hearing this, Nobita's mouth twitched. "Fat Tiger, I don't think you will suffer from insomnia." Post views. 37. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 030 Chapter 30. Error table, killing, distortion, despair. Spell world, so envious. Nobita can get a reward for each title. From what was said at the beginning, it seems that he has a lot of titles. Doesn't that mean Nobita can get a lot of rewards? Uncle Long, I want a reward too, a reward. Xiaoyu pulled Uncle Long's trouser leg, looking at Chun Long with her big eyes. Chun Long couldn't help but feel a headache and sighed. "Xiaoyu, please stop making trouble, okay? How can I give you any reward? I'm not Nobita. That Uncle Long. How about taking me with you on your next adventure? I'll treat it as a reward." Xiaoyu looked at Chun Long expectantly. "Great. So this is your real purpose. This won't do, Xiaoyu." Chun Long shook his head and refused directly. "Exploration is not a fun thing. It is full of dangers. I promised your parents that I would bring you back safely." "What? Uncle Long, you really look like an old man." Xiaoyu's face suddenly fell, and she said unconvincedly, "Carnatrix, error table, killing, distortion, despair, blood, madness, evil." Just when everyone in the heavens and the worlds was still obsessed with the previous video, brand new words appeared on the screen. The only difference was that the words in this round were not as sacred as before, but were filled with an extremely strong, dark atmosphere. When everyone in the heavens and the worlds looked at these words, they felt as if their hearts were firmly grasped by a big hand. An unimaginable, strong feeling of suffocation rushed straight to the top of their heads, making people tremble all over, and their hands and feet were cold. What is going on? Yes, why does my body feel cold? Why are those words filled with such a terrible, murderous aura? It's so scary. It's just a string of words, but I dare not look at it. Why is this time completely different from before? I was really shocked just now. Damn it, I have to change my pants. Almost everyone was surprised by the change in the light curtain style. Some people speculated that perhaps this round of inventory was different from the previous ones, and it was an evil inventory filled with despair and killing. Big Head Son World, wow. Dad, what is that? It feels so scary. The big-headed son jumped directly into the arms of the small-headed father, trembling with fear, and dared not turn his head. It's really scary. Big Head Son, I think we won't watch this video anymore. Little Head Father swallowed his saliva. The fear in his heart was no less than that of Big Head Son. Yeah, Big Head Son nodded quickly, and the two of them went back to bed. Demon Star, such a strong smell of evil. It seems that this video is going to be more interesting. King Dima laughed fiercely. He was a demon king who grew up by absorbing the dark aura of the demon realm star. So he was not affected by the light curtain. He even felt that the aura emitted by the light curtain made him feel comfortable and familiar. Alien world, oh my god. How did it become so dark? Is the next video going to be a horror movie? Zhang Chulan was shocked. If Su Si hadn't been supporting him from behind, he would have fallen to the ground. As an employee of Renadu Tong, don't be so scared by a little change. Su Si taught, but, fourth brother, why are your legs shaking? Cough, cough. Su Si blushed, a little embarrassed. But in order to save face, he still forced an explanation. I just stood for a long time and my legs are a little numb. Shizuka is home. When her eyes met the words on the screen, Shizuka felt as if a devil with a horrible and distorted face was grinning at her and opening its bloody mouth, as if it wanted to swallow her alive. In an instant, Shizuka's originally rosy face turned pale and bloodless, and the blood vessels on the back of her hand were clearly visible. What is this thing? It's so scary. Shizuka put her hands on her chest nervously, her expression still a little frightened. Let's go find Nobita. She felt safer with Nobita and Doraemon than staying alone in an empty bedroom. I'm going out. Shizuka quickly put on her shoes and trotted to Nobita's house. As for Shizuka's mother and father, they didn't pay attention to the light curtain just now, so they were not affected. Looking at Shizuka, who was rushing out, Shizuka's father was a little puzzled. What is Shizuka doing going out at this time? Maybe you want to see Nobita? Shizuka's mother said playfully. Asshole. Although I approve of that guy Nobita, Shizuka is still so young now. If that guy dares to bully Shizuka, I will never let him off. Ben 10 World Carnatrix. Error table. Could it be that the wrong watch is also a super watch like the broken watch? Tian Xiaoban was slightly stunned, and then he looked down at the broken watch in his hand. He always felt a little strange in his heart. It seemed that this wrong watch was related to him. Well, maybe I'm overthinking. This little broken watch doesn't look as evil as it's said. He also used this little broken watch to transform into an alien hero to save the world. How can he be associated with the word evil? Xiaoban shook his head, trying to drive away the distracting thoughts from his head. But the wrong watch seemed to take root in his head and kept echoing in his mind. And an inexplicable feeling of uneasiness enveloped him, making him feel a little heavy. Post views. 50. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 031, Chapter 31. The Pain of the Wrong Class, Carnaturk's Shippuden Timeline. Rain Country, Akatsuki Base, alas, Killing Madness. Blood. You're not talking about the evil god. Aha. Long live the evil god. Fate Duan raised his sickle above his head, raised his head sharply, and shouted excitedly with a frenzied and terrifying expression. He even picked up the sickle and kept slashing at himself, and large pieces of flowers fell on the ground. But his expression did not show any pain, but was even more excited. Fool! Stop yelling and making the floor dirty. It'll be very troublesome to clean up later. His partner, Kakazu, came over and punched the Mad Haiden. Maybe it was a mistake to recruit this guy into Akatsuki. Not far away, Xiaonan stood beside Pain and watched this scene and said helplessly, "The world of the five spirit kings killing, twisted, evil, blood, madness. That's not a good word. It looks like this video will be very different," Pigsy said with a serious expression in a light curtain note. This video takes place in one of many parallel worlds, so don't worry. A burst of harsh music that made one's scalp tingle and made one feel completely uncomfortable sounded. The story begins. The way you remember, what a normal boy, and a watch for the woods in the picture, a little boy appeared in everyone's eyes. His name is Tian Xiaoban, and he came here to spend this summer vacation with his grandfather Tian Mark and his cousin Tian Xiaoban. In order to avoid the insect feast made by his grandfather, he came to the forest to take refuge and relax. At this time, a black meteor slid down from the sky and hit the woods not far from Xiaoban. Driven by curiosity, Tian Xiaoban went to find out. When he arrived at the place where the meteor fell, Tian Xiaoban suddenly found a strange green light emitting from the huge pit. When he walked in, he found a strange alien watch. But in this world, Azimuth, he has no watch to create peace. He believes that his race is far superior to other races, that poor damned bastard who created the watch that kills. He named him Carnatrix. Begin genocide. The scene in the video suddenly changed. A short creature with a hideous face and a frog-like appearance suddenly appeared. He was Azimuth mentioned in the lyrics, and the watch that Tian Xiaoban just found was his masterpiece. The evil watch that had been used to kill monsters long ago, Carnatrix. Been 10 world what? That is me. Tian Xiaoban stared at himself in the video for a long time, unable to come back to his senses. He never thought that the protagonist of this video was actually him. But if it was any other video, he might jump up and down with excitement. But this video is obviously scary. Azimuth, Tian Xiaoban, who was standing next to him, closed his laptop and said, "Die too. It turns out that your watch was invented by the alien creature called Azimuth. And was your watch invented for genocide?" This, Xiaoban didn't know how to answer. That shouldn't be the case. You noticed at the beginning that it said on the screen that this video took place in a parallel world among many worlds. That means it may not be our world, so don't worry, Xiaoban. Grandpa Tian Mark explained on Gavin Planet. Azimuth looked at the screen. His expression was extremely ugly. He was sure that the Azimuth mentioned in the video was not the real person. He should be a character in a parallel world with the same name, because due to some characteristics, no matter which universe he is in, he is absolutely just and rational, and it is impossible for him to become crazy and evil. Damn it, that madman actually created the wrong super energy device for the purpose of genocide. This is unforgivable. Azimuth was extremely angry. He couldn't accept that there was such a terrible guy in the parallel universe. He was completely discrediting the Gavin people. The video is still playing History Repeats Itself, but this time there's something different. I approached him, but didn't know what would happen. He stuck to my hand. What does that feel like? Why do I feel like my bones are breaking? My whole body is corroded and my veins are burning. Why did this happen? The desperate song surrounded everyone's ears, and it was not sung, but a scream of pain. In the picture, Tian Xiaoban slowly approaches the alien watch, and suddenly, the watch seems to have life and sticks to Xiaoban's hand. The Carnatrix also stretched out several fangs, biting Ben's arm tightly and piercing his skin. At the same time, a terrible high-temperature flame swept across his body, and in an instant, Ben's figure was completely integrated into the flame. However, unlike other universes, Ben in the Error universe did not have any protective measures during the process of becoming a flame man, and was not immune to the pain and damage caused by the flame. This means that during the transformation, he has to endure this terrible flame. Tian Xiaoban let out a scream of pain that almost tore the sky apart. He felt that all his blood vessels and skin were melting in the burning flames. The corrosive feeling, as if he was immersed in strong sulfuric acid, made Xiaoban's mind almost collapse. Soon, amid Tian Xiaoban's screams, a fire monster with an extremely hideous and terrifying face and a terrible and weird smile appeared on the screen. The fire monster's whole body was wrapped in flames, and its body was covered with golden blood vessels like magma. If it weren't for such a terrifying face, I would have really thought it was an alien hero. Post views 62. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 032 Chapter 32. Tian Xiaoban, out of control, Xiaowen burned in the fire zombie world. Oh my god. Bai Xiaofei, who was watching the video, was frightened and subconsciously pulled out the big knife behind him. I'm a zombie, right? Or an ordinary little zombie. A fire zombie? This error table is really poisonous. It turned a little boy into a zombie monster. Bai Xiaofei was frightened for a moment. After all, he had heard Tian Xiaoban's roar just now. Fruity Robo World this. What's this? Is a fireman? Pineapple blowing snow was also trembling with fear. The scene was really too scary. That should be the case. But why is the face of this flame man so scary? Chung Liuxiang was not much better. Also, this kind of transformation requires enduring the pain of transformation, which is not what I imagined. He could hardly imagine what kind of pain it would be to be burned by flames all over the body. But looking at the expression of Tian Xiaoban in the picture, I'm afraid it's more terrible than he imagined at Nobita's home. Doraemon. Instantly, Nobita and the others' expressions changed, and they hugged Doraemon tightly behind them, so that they could feel a sense of security. At this moment, bang, the door was pushed open. Shizuka looked at the people huddled together in the room, frowned, and was very confused. What is this doing? Actually, it is like this. Although Doraemon was also frightened, he was much better than Nobita and the others. So he explained to Shizuka the scene on the screen just now. What? How could such a thing happen? That Tian Xiaoban is so pitiful. I can't even imagine how painful it would be to be covered by flames. Shizuka clasped her hands together and said in surprise, "That's right. I usually feel terrible pain when I'm scalded by boiling water, but the pain in the video is unimaginable." Xiaofu said with a pale face. That's right, Shizuka. You don't know how scary that little classmate's voice was just now. It was unbearable to listen to it. Nobita nodded, still with a frightened look on his face. From now on, I can't pick up things that fall on the ground, and I don't know what they are. Even the usually carefree fat tiger was cowering at this moment, obviously frightened. In a light curtain, I don't want to do that at all. Sorry, Xiaowen. In the picture, hearing the noise coming from the forest, Xiaoban's cousin, Tian Xiaoban, also came here. Looking at the flame man with fire all over his body, Xiaowen was so scared that she froze in place, unable to move. At this time, Xiaoban's head was filled with murderous emotions. He slowly walked in front of Xiaowen, grabbed Xiaowen's head with both hands uncontrollably, and lifted it up heavily. Xiaowen screamed in pain at the terrible high-temperature flames. His fair face was instantly covered by flames. His pupils dilated in fear. His eye sockets were full of bloodshot, and his whole face seemed to be cracked with blood seeping out. However, hearing Xiaowen's screams, the flame man that Xiaoban had transformed into did not stop. A crazy smile appeared on his hideous and terrifying face. The hand holding Xiaowen's head suddenly exerted force. Wow! In an instant, the hellish flames tightly wrapped around her body. In the blink of an eye, Xiaowen turned into ashes. The shrill screams disappeared, replaced by the flame man's hoarse and crazy laughter in the demon world. Miyako looked at the screen with a pale face and covered her eyes tightly with both hands. She was afraid to watch it anymore, because the picture was getting more and more horrible and distorted. She couldn't believe it. Tian Xiaoban actually burned his cousin to death. Ben 10 World, what on earth is this? Xiaoban's pupils shrank, and he held his head tightly with both hands, thinking about what he had just done in the picture. Vomit! He just felt uncomfortable and wanted to vomit. Xiaowen, who was standing next to him, was so scared that she curled up in Grandpa Mark's arms. But even so, her body couldn't stop shaking. After all, she saw herself in the picture turning into ashes in despair. For a child, the psychological trauma caused was too great. I didn't expect the error table of the error universe to be so terrible. Tian Mark frowned, his expression solemn. Although Xiao, one in the picture, was only from a parallel world, she was still his granddaughter. Seeing his granddaughter being killed by his own grandson, he felt even worse. Grandfather, this little broken watch in my hand will become like that in the future, Xiaoban said tremblingly, his hand on the broken watch. If that were the case, he would rather not be a superhero. Although he and Xiaowen often quarreled, he didn't want Xiaowen to die. Don't worry, This is just another parallel universe. The super energy device in your hand is normal. Grandpa comfortet Xiaoban nodded, but his face still looked unhappy post-views. 45. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 033, Chapter 33. Extreme Despair. The horror of wrong expression. The video is still playing. I feel fast. But what would I do if I had no control? Grandpa, don't go any further. Smashed to pieces. All the transformations are over, so it's all my fault. Obviously, the tragedy did not end there. Tian Mark in the camp watched his grandchildren disappear one after another and never returned to the camp. Out of concern, he also stepped into the woods. But soon his breath was discovered by Tian Xiaoban. No, to be precise, it should be discovered by the error watch parasitic on his hand. This time, under the control of the error watch, Xiaoban turned into another alien monster. With a lizard-like appearance, his whole body was covered with hard black armor, but his face was still as hideous and distorted as the Flame Man. The crisscross teeth were covered with traces of blood, and just one glance made people feel chilled. It was the wrong version of Flash Star. With a whoosh, Flash Star moved slightly, and the whole person moved at a high speed like a blue lightning at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Before Tian Mark could react, he was grabbed by Flash Star by one arm and began to drag it. I don't know how long it took. When the Flash Star stopped, Xiaoban realized that there was no figure of his grandfather in his hand. Only a broken limb and arm was left. Pain, despair, distortion. All the negative emotions in Xiaoban's heart burst out completely. He killed his cousin and grandfather. Spell world. Uncle Long, this can't be a horror movie. Xiaoyu grabbed Chunlong's trouser legs tightly, and she didn't look as clever as usual. The scene was not as interesting as she thought. Someone really died, and the death was extremely tragic. Xiaoyu, these are not for children to watch. You should go and have a rest first. Chunlong patted Xiaoyu's back and shook his head. Fruity Robo World. Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy crap. That Tian Xiaoban has gone crazy. It's so scary. Pineapple Blowing Snow was so scared that she couldn't speak clearly. Is the error watch so scary? It can actually control the host. If I were Tian Xiaoban, I would have collapsed. Chung Liuxiang looked at Tian Xiaoban in the picture with sympathy in his eyes. He was just curious to see the meteor, but he didn't expect to be parasitized by such a scary watch, and even cause his family to be destroyed. I'm afraid no one can accept this. Yes, it is true that curiosity kills the cat. Lu Xiaowen nodded repeatedly. Ben 10 World, no. Xiaowen Grandpa. Xiaoban sat on the ground in pain, watching the scene gradually getting out of control. His mind was on the verge of collapse. This gurgle. Tian Mark swallowed his saliva. At first, he thought that with his years of combat experience, he could control Xiaoban, who was affected by the error watch. After all, he was a legendary plumber who had seen alien creatures more terrifying than the Flash Star, and even survived from their hands. As a result, the facts were completely the opposite. Even he was killed by the error watch because of his carelessness. Things were completely out of control. All the living beings in the universe were looking at the screen in shock. They finally understood the distortion, killing, and madness at the beginning of the video. What do these words mean? This error table is indeed worthy of such a name. It is simply a killing weapon. Some righteous people cannot accept it and shout angrily. That Asmus is so despicable that he actually created such a horrible killing weapon and attempted to exterminate all other races. He is absolutely unforgivable. That little Ben is really pitiful. He actually killed his own relatives with his own hands and couldn't stop anything. That Asmus is so stupid. The error list has gone crazy. Who can stop it next? Damn, I'm just a lousy video watcher, and it's so scary. No, I need to change my pants. The video is still going on. All transformations are over. So this is all my fault. My hands are covered in blood. Now I know. The size of life, watch them die. Everyone I knew. I know I can never undo what I have done. Memories torture my soul. I am a Carnaturk's wearer. I feel fire in my body. The crystal pierced my body. I would rather die than live in this hell. For Tian Xiaoban in the error universe, his nightmare is far from over. Under the influence of the error table, he began a more terrible killing. However, Asmus, who made the Carnatrix, is undoubtedly extremely evil. Although the error table can manipulate his body, his subjective consciousness and senses are retained. This means he watched his friends and family die in his hands and could even feel the warm blood on his hands. Countless screams of pain echoed in his mind, tormenting his nerves all the time. As he transformed into twisted and evil alien monsters, he could feel his body constantly collapsing and reorganizing. His flesh was constantly being torn apart, and his bones were being broken. The alien heroes in other universes are just a group of monsters who only know how to kill crazily in the error table. Under the dual torture of mind and body, Xiaoban's spirit completely collapsed. Despair enveloped every cell in his body. Post-views. 57 Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 034 Chapter 34. The Omnipotent X-Man. Twisted Despair. I don't know if I can control my danger. Continuous danger. Continuous bloodthirstiness. So, I isolated myself. I'm controlling all the pain, so I ask you to stay away from me. You feel it, but you don't know your own power. I will dominate this universe. Tian Xiaoban. As time went by, Xiaoban gradually mastered the error table. Although he still couldn't control the use of his body, he was able to control the pain caused by the transformation. And because the control of his body was fully controlled by the error table, Xiaoban couldn't even commit suicide. Then 10 World, Ban 1000 Universe. Ban frowned, and there was even some fear in his expression. I never thought there would be such a twisted parallel world. You can't even commit suicide? It sounds so hopeless. Xiao Wan, who was standing next to him, had worried eyes. The horror of the error is far beyond our imagination. He almost caused the extinction of the entire Earth race with his own strength. If we continue to let this go, the situation may completely change time and space, affecting other parallel universes. Yes, Brother Ban nodded. However, since the matter has become so serious, Dr. Contradiction should have noticed it. I hope he can find a way to stop it. Glacier what? He actually went so far as to wipe out the entire human race on Earth. Could it be that no one can stop him? Doctor, will this Tian Xiaoban come to our world to kill us? Kara said with some fear. If this error watch really came to their ice star, I'm afraid no one could stop it. After all, those alien monsters are not easy to mess with. Don't worry. The doctor touched Kara's head and said, although this error table is very powerful, the most abundant thing in the universe is strong people. I believe there will definitely be more powerful people who will take action. If it really doesn't work, let Nobita come out and see if he can beat him. It's just a pity for the child. He has to suffer such torture at such a young age. It's really pitiful. Hey, when mentioning Tian Xiaoban, the doctor just sighed slightly. Even he couldn't imagine how much Tian Xiaoban was struggling and how much pain he was in. Nobita. Can he win? Kara was a little skeptical. Although Nobita was very strong, Kara thought that the strength he showed was still not as good as that of Tian Xiaoban. Don't worry, it's absolutely possible, the doctor said confidently. Nobita has so many titles that have not been counted. Besides, remember when I first introduced Nobita, I said that Nobita had killed demons, subdued dinosaurs, and even almost destroyed the world. What we see now is just the tip of the iceberg of Nobita's strength, and Doraemon, who is often by Nobita's side, also looks like a tough guy. Yeah, after hearing what the doctor said, Kara's mood improved a little. If the error table really hit their Hayaka star, she would ask Nobita for help if she knew where Nobita was. Happy Superman world, General Dogwai. Why do I feel that this error table is more of a villain than us? Xiaoguai touched the back of his head, looking a little dazed. Nonsense. They're almost going to wipe out all the people on our own planet. They're not just bad guys, they are monsters. The big monster patted the helmet on the small monster's head and said, and Corporal Little Monster, we are not bad guys. We are the heroes of the discouraged planet. Okay. Yes, I understand. General Dagwai. Xiaozhi immediately saluted Dagwai. Super Beast World, oh shit. Why do I feel like Tian Xiaoban is going to turn evil? Huolin Fei looked at Tian Xiaoban, whose face was gradually distorted, and said, "In the light curtain, by awakening my power here. I hope it works. You can call all the Tian Xiaobans, and I will kill them. Everything fails. I can't. Go kill. There is nothing. I hope I'm not too late. Band 1000 and drive. Contradiction are here. I will set your soul free and put an end to the suffering. I became Superman X. The power to subvert everything. This is the power of Carnatrix." In the picture, under Ben's continuous killing, the surrounding planets turned into lifeless dead stars. And Dr. Contradiction, who controls many parallel worlds, also noticed the abnormality of the error universe. In order to stop Ben from the error universe from continuing to kill, Dr. Contradiction summoned the Bens from other universes. The Bens from many parallel worlds united together to fight against the terrible and twisted Error Ben. But the strength of Error Ben far exceeded everyone's imagination. One by one, Ben was easily wiped out by him. Even misbehavior can also transform into a twisted and crazy X-Man. X-Man. He is a member of the alien race outside the universe in the world of Ben 10 and possesses terrifying abilities. He is omnipotent. It can distort reality, space, time, and even dimensions. As long as he wants, he could do anything. He only needs to think 6 times to destroy all the multiverses. But there are 2 different consciousnesses in X-Man's body, representing sympathy and anger respectively. Every time X-Man takes action, he has to make a decision. Only when the 2 personalities are consistent can he take action, as if afraid that the audience in other worlds don't understand how terrible X-Man is. The light screen also gave a thoughtful introduction, just like the famous sword Dian Guangwan before. Post views 62. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 035, Chapter 35. Error X Superman, Tian Xiaoban, and other parallel universes Kamen Rider universe. Build the world. It sounds so amazing. That X-Man can do whatever he wants. Isn't that invincible? Wan Zhonglong was completely shocked by the introduction of X-Man. He couldn't imagine that there was such a heaven-defying race in the universe. Doesn't that mean as long as they want, they can easily dominate the entire universe? This is totally unscientific. Kiryu Sinto's face was filled with horror. According to what the light screen said, X-Man's strength was completely beyond the scope of science. As a scientist, Kiryu Sinto couldn't accept this. Having read all this, you still want to talk about science? Besides, we are not in the same world, so maybe the scientific standards are different. Wan Zhonglong said sarcastically, feeling very happy. Usually he was the only one to be criticized by Zhang too, but he didn't expect that today it was the other way around. Ben 10 World, huh? Is there such a powerful alien hero in this broken watch? Why haven't I seen him? Xiaoban looked at the superpower meter in his hand, but he could not find any alien hero icon no matter how hard he tried. He did not find any X-Man at all. By the way, in the previous scene I saw that the wrong little Ben also turned into an alien hero that I have never seen before. Could it be that Xiaoban's broken watch has other permissions that have not been unlocked? So many alien heroes have not been unlocked. Xiaoan guessed. Hearing this, Xiaoban, who had finally calmed down, looked at the broken watch and said excitedly, "Doesn't that mean there are still a lot of alien heroes in this broken watch? Cool. When Superman X is unlocked in the future, I will definitely use him often." Doraemon universe. Nobita's house. That guy actually asked if he was late? Doraemon was speechless. The Earth was about to end, and that little classmate was completely crazy. He actually asked if he was late? Yes, but fortunately, someone can finally stop the mistaken Xiaoban. If he continues to kill, I am afraid that the whole universe will be involved. Nobita nodded, and his hanging heart finally let go a little bit at this time. Looking at the picture on the screen, almost everyone was stunned. The development in the video was completely beyond their expectations. They were originally thinking that no one would be able to stop this wrong Xiaoban. As a result, suddenly, a guy named Dr. Contradiction appeared, and this Dr. Contradiction was very unusual. He directly brought Tian Xiaoban from other parallel worlds. It was incredible. They had never thought that in order to stop Tian Xiaoban, they had to let Tian Xiaoban from other worlds come in the light curtain. The X-Man transformed by the error table is even more terrifying. Compared with other X-Men, he does not need multiple personalities to make decisions. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. This means that X-Man's actions are completely dependent on the thoughts of the error table. The degree of horror of the unrestricted X-Man is completely unimaginable. You are all so pitiful. Okay, Xiaoban, to hell with this damn watch. What a fucking idea. I am the god of this place. I am evil. You will all die. Vango 1000, you can tear my arm off. I will transform this place into a cemetery. I know I can never erase what I have done. In the picture, Error Table uses Tian Xiaoban's body to slaughter Tian Xiaoban in other parallel worlds. To him, he is the god of this universe, the god of evil. He will kill all the guys who stand his way. In the end, it was only under the cover of many Tian Xiaobans that Brother Ban found an opportunity and tore off the arm of Tian Xiaoban, wearing the wrong watch. Although the wrong watch left Tian Xiaoban's body, Tian Xiaoban knew very well that the sins he had committed before could not be erased. However, Brother Ben transformed into X-Man, and with his omnipotent power, he forcibly restarted the universe to the timeline before Xiaoban obtained the error watch. Xiaoan, Grandpa, relatives, and friends slaughtered by Xiaoban, and all creatures on Earth were resurrected. He also restored Tian Xiaoban, who had sacrificed in other parallel worlds, and restored the tragic situation of the error universe. Everything in this universe has returned to normal. Only Xiaoban still has this horrible memory. In the following time, he will live on Earth with this memory and live in that nightmare. The last picture was frozen on Xiaoban's desperate, crazy, and painful expression. Obviously, even if everything is repaired, but the pain brought to him by the error watch will not disappear. His nightmare, it's not over yet. As the light screen dimmed, everyone watching breathed a sigh of relief. This video was so depressing that they could hardly breathe. The feeling of despair almost overflowed from the light screen. They could not imagine how much pain Tian Xiaoban was in the video. It can even be said that at the end, when everything was restored, Xiaoban still couldn't get out of the shadow in his heart. But this is also normal. If it were someone else, I'm afraid they would not be able to completely forget it after experiencing such a thing post-views. 70 Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 036, Chapter 36. The video ends, and everyone breathes a sigh of relief in the alien world. On Mount Longhu, the old Taoist priest stroked his white beard and said with a complicated expression, "Hey, I didn't expect that other worlds are so dangerous. It seems that even I can't slack off. Although he is invincible in their world, if he were in Xiaoban's world, I'm afraid he would also be a member of the genocide. He knows very well that facing the error table, he has absolutely no room for counterattack. The gap is too big, and that X-Man is so powerful that he can't even think of resisting. Master, why worry so much? They are just in other universes." Zhang Lingyu frowned, thinking that the old master seemed to be worrying too much. They are not in the same universe. Can they rush into their universe and kill them all? It is indeed necessary to improve your own strength. Zombie world, damn it. It was so scary. I just wanted to watch a video to relax, but I was so scared that I almost had to change my pants. Bai Xiaofei wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Compared with the alien monster transformed by the wrong watch, the zombies in their world seemed to be nothing. On the other side, in the library, Long Yu gently closed the book and looked at the dimming light curtain with deep eyes. After a long time, he spoke, "I never thought there would be such a terrifying thing in this universe. Is this an error table? It is truly an evil thing." The light screen flashed again. This video has ended. Characters being cleared. Rewards are being cleared. Reward settlement. Tian Xiaoban and all parallel worlds will receive a reward. The permissions of the super energy device will be fully unlocked. Ben 10 world, what? The reward is actually unlocking permissions. Awesome. When Xiaoban saw the rewards for this inventory, he became very excited. He was just thinking about how to unlock the permissions of this little watch. But it turned out that the reward was this. Wow! A beam of golden light descended from the light curtain and landed accurately on Xiaoban's little watch. The next second, the golden light dissipated, and Xiaoban suddenly found that the little watch in his hand seemed to have changed and became lighter. He opened the little watch, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Sure enough, there were a lot of alien heroes that he had never seen before. Xiaowen, Grandpa, look. At this time, Xiaoban found the shadow icon of Superman X and shouted excitedly to his cousin beside him. Under the gaze of the two, Xiaoban slapped the watch hard. However, unlike what he imagined, he did not turn into X-Man. Instead, he turned into a fat yellow ball. This is bomb. It's annoying. Xiaoban's excited face suddenly collapsed again. Ha 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 ha. Xiaowen's loud laughter came from the side Bangor universe. Unlocking the Omnitrix's permissions. Doesn't that mean there is no reward for me? It's really annoying. Brother Ban scratched his hair, feeling a little irritated, because he had unlocked the permissions of the little watch earlier, so this reward was basically meaningless to him. But, in fact, he didn't need any reward. On Gavin, release the authority of the super energy device. This is completely out of my plan. Asmis sighed, feeling that there are things to do in the future. Doraemon universe. Nobita's house. Doraemon. Do you have a prop like the one in the picture that can transform into an alien hero? Not the error watch, but the normal one that other little classes wear. Nobita looked at Doraemon expectantly. Just now, watching the alien hero transformed by the class in the picture, it was so handsome. Which boy doesn't like the feeling of transforming into an alien hero himself? No, Doraemon replied decisively without even blinking an eyelid. Hey, Doraemon, don't be so stingy. Just lend it to me to play with for a while. Fat Tiger and Sunio also echoed. That's right, just lend it to us to play with for a while. We will definitely not use it to do anything bad. No means no. Underwater world. Mermaid Kingdom call. It's finally over. This video is so scary. Sophia breathed a sigh of relief. After watching this video, she felt terrible. She had lived in the Mermaid Kingdom since she was a child, and she didn't know what a horror movie was. So when she watched the last video, she was really scared. She almost ran to the palace to find her grandmother. Princess, I think we should not watch it for now. In case the next video is like this, little Harry quickly advised that he really didn't want to watch this kind of video anymore. It made the scales on his body stand up. No, it would be too boring if you don't watch the video. Besides, the next video is likely to be Nobita's title. I am really looking forward to what Nobita's next title will be. Also, as mentioned in the last title video, what are Nobita's other two top talents that are comparable to sleeping? I really want to know. Sophia watched the video because she was bored, not because she was scared by the video. And the next one is likely to be her favorite video, counting Nobita's titles. Hey, little Harry sighed and looked at his princess helplessly. When it comes to Nobita, Princess Sophia always becomes very talkative. If Her Majesty the Queen knew about this, the princess would definitely not have a good time. P.S. The author likes Ben 10 very much, and will definitely write about the three most famous secondary creations, including the error table, love table, and blood table. The original work will also be written a little bit, don't worry. Post views, 50. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 037, Chapter 37. New title, The God of Twisting Rope. Check out Nobita's titles in the third issue. The God of Twisting Ropes. The dim light screen lit up again, and new lines of text appeared on it. Doraemon Universe. Nobita's House. The God of Catching Ropes. Seeing Nobita's new title on the screen, Doraemon finally remembered. Oh yes, I almost forgot. Nobita, you seem to be very good at catwalk too. Hey, Nobita blushed when he was praised, touched his head, and said a little embarrassedly, I just know how to play a little bit. Not as exaggerated as the cat's cradle god mentioned above, skipping rope. Is this the one that Nobita used to flip over and over with the rope in his hands? It feels so boring. Fat Tiger raised his head and recalled his past memories. It seemed that Nobita often played catapult in front of them. But Fat Tiger was not really interested in that kind of thing. Instead of playing catapult, he might as well play baseball or football. That's right, besides, Cat's Tumble is for girls to play, right? And such a boring thing will be eliminated by the times sooner or later, right? Xiaofu didn't care at all and said with a lack of interest, "What did you say?" Nobita was not happy when he heard this. Who said that catwalks can only be played by girls? Xiaofu, you don't know anything about catwalks, so don't talk nonsense. Nobita was a little annoyed. After all, catwalks was one of his few interests, and he didn't want Xiaofu to talk nonsense. Well, okay, Sunio was stunned at first, but when he saw Nobita's face about to explode, he nodded obediently. Nobita is not like before, and he can't control him at will. Okay, stop arguing, both of you. If you have anything to say, talk it out nicely. Seeing this, Shizuka and Doraemon hurried forward and said, "Glacier, the god of catching rope?" Another weird title. Kara blinked and said blankly at the title on the screen, "Haha, Cat's Twirl? I played it when I was a kid." The doctor smiled softly, and a touch of reminiscence appeared in his vicissitudes of life eyes. Kara was very surprised and said crisply, "Doctor, have you played Cat's Tuck before?" "Yes." The doctor nodded and said, "It is a very interesting little toy, but it is still very difficult. I have been playing with it for a long time and can only make some simple, small patterns." At that time, I always envy those who are good at playing Cat's Cradle. They can make any complicated patterns with ease. It's really spectacular. Oh, Doctor, I'm looking forward to it now. Kara nodded her head and looked at the light curtain again. Underwater world. Mermaid Kingdom great. Sophia raised her hands excitedly. I knew the next one would be Nobita's video. Little Harry turned to look at his princess and scratch his head. "Princess, do you know what Cat's Tangle is?" Well, this. Sophia was stunned by the question. After all, she had never been to the human world on land. So this was the first time she heard the word cable jumping. It's okay. You should be able to see it by watching the video later. Okay, little Harry didn't say much. Just shut up, Puni Bear's world. Big Bear, Big Bear. Do you know what Cat Cradle is? Is it delicious? Seeing that he hadn't heard anything, Xiong immediately looked at Big Bear next to him and asked subconsciously. This Xiongda was speechless for a moment, not knowing how to answer. After all, he didn't know what catwalk was. "Xiongda, you don't know either, right? Then I better go ask Wang Daxiong. Wang Daxiong is smarter than you." Xiongda got angry when Xiong said this, and immediately stopped Xiong from leaving. "Don't go. Of course I know what catwalk is." "What is that?" "The rope is that is." Xiongda suddenly had an idea. Actually, the catapult is a special weapon, just like a sword, knife, or gun. Look at the title of the god of catapult, just like Nobita's previous title of Sword Saint. An skipping rope is also a very dangerous weapon. So that's how it is. Big Bear, you're really awesome. Bear 2 suddenly realized and smiled foolishly on the street, seeing that the video was about her son again. Nobi Tamako paused and rubbed her chin slightly. Crossing rope. Nobita seems to really like playing. When he was little, he used to chase after me every day and let me see what patterns he made. Hey, I wish Nobita could be that enthusiastic about studying. Nobi Tamako sighed deeply. Nobita was giving her a headache when it came to studying. Thinking of Nobita's talent in kendo, Nobita Tamako's frown relaxed, and she felt better. If Nobita really has no interest in studying, then let him focus on kendo in the future. In the light curtain, catching rope is one of Nobita's 3 top talents. When it comes to names for sleeping games, in the field of catapult games, Nobita is the undisputed king. Nobita can create any complex pattern with ease. Post views. 52. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 038, Chapter 38, a world of Cat's Tangle, where Cat's Tangle decides everything. Tokyo Food World. Ending District. Nobita's 3 talents. 2 have already been used. What will be the last one? Kaneki-kin looked at the light screen, stroking his chin and thinking. However, the next second, he felt a pain in his back and was kicked hard. He turned around and found that it was Tuka, who was looking at him impatiently. Seeing Kaneki still standing there in a daze, Tuka was so angry that she couldn't help but, "Hey, idiot, don't stand here like an idiot. Go outside and entertain the guests." Oh. Kaneki nodded repeatedly and ran outside without looking back. After Kaneki left, Tuka glanced at the light screen and murmured softly, "I also hope to be as carefree as Nobita." Ghouls like them can only live in fear. If they're discovered by the investigators, they will basically die. Daxiong is actually very envious of Nobita, and the world that Nobita lives in a unique world of catapult. In this world, the skill of catapult rope represents everything. If you have superb skills in catapult playing, you can even be easily admitted to a prestigious university or a world-class company, transcending class boundaries and becoming a successful person that everyone envies. Contrary, if your skill in catapult is terrible and you can't do anything at all, you will be unable to make any progress in this world and will be regarded as an inferior product by the world. In this world, catapult is the most popular sport, and there are international catapult competitions. The champion can get rich rewards and unimaginable fame. Even wars between countries and political elections within countries are closely related to catapults. In the world of catapult, as long as you have the world's best catapult skills, you can almost achieve anything. Crayon Shin-chan world. There's this kind of world. The Noera family stared at the screen with shock on their faces. Use the flower rope to decide everything. Why does it feel a bit random? Noera Hiroshi complained, "Yes, but if wars can really be resolved with catapults, that would be great. At least there won't be casualties." Noera Missy said, while holding Xiaoka, "Okay, Mom and Dad, I've made my decision. I want to go to the world of naked butts." Shinasuke said, exposing his "but again, you kid." Noera Missy saw this and immediately shouted, "How many times have I told you not to take off your pants casually? Is it the same at home?" "The same goes for home. Super Beast world, Wait, am I seeing things? There really is such a weird world where social status is determined by cat's tangle." Hualin Fei was stunned. If it weren't for this light curtain, he wouldn't have known that there were so many weird worlds in this world. The last sleeping world was already outrageous, and this world of cat's tangle is no different. Miao Tiaojuan complained, "Fortunately, our world is very normal. If a guy like me who knows nothing about catapults were really in that world, I would probably become an inferior person." Hee. How do you know that the world we live in is normal? In the eyes of the people in that world, we may be the outliers. What is the standard of the word normal? Tianyu smiled and retorted. Miao Tiaojuan was speechless. If he knew the word, he would definitely blurt out. In the demon world, a world where catapults are supreme, Nobita and his friend's world is truly magical. Miyako exclaimed, "Nobita's title is the god of skipping ropes. Doesn't that mean in that world, Nobita is a godlike existence?" I'm really looking forward to it. In the light curtain in the picture, there is an empty space. Xiaofu is showing off his self-proclaimed superb skillful skills to several female classmates. Look, a wine glass. The rope in Xiaofu's hand took on a simple wine glass shape. But see this scene? Shizuka and other female classmates in front of him all looked at him with deep admiration and applauded for Sunio excitedly. At the same time, they praised him in unison. What a master of the catapult. Next second, Shizuka and the others trotted over to Sunio and surrounded him tightly from front to back. "How did you play it so skillfully? Teach me quickly. Teach me quickly." And Nobita's home. Seeing the scene in the video, Nobita frowned and looked at the Sunio, surrounded by girls in disbelief. A wine glass, such a simple shape, can actually be called a master of croquet. It's simply an insult to the word master. He was not showing off. It was because the shape of the wine glass was too simple for him. That was the shape he would only play croquet when he was a beginner, and he didn't know how many years he had been playing it. But he didn't expect that such a simple shape could be praised as a master by Shizuka in that world. This made Nobita feel a little weird. It was like a max-level character going to the novice village and seeing a level 4 or 5 girl calling a level 8 or 9 newbie big brother and asking for help. It felt incredible. What? After hearing what Nobita said, Sunio immediately felt a little unhappy. "Nobita, You are just envious of all the girls around me." Hearing Sunio's words, Nobita looked at him with a strange expression. His mouth moved, but in the end he said, "Nothing pirate world nanny. Can girls gather around you just by making some patterns with rope? That world, it's really great." Sanji held his head with both hands, looking at Sunio, who was enjoying himself in the picture, and was envious. He wished he could replace Sunio directly. "Hey, Sanji, I feel like this catwalk. It seems that it is not as simple as you thought." At this time, Luffy's voice came from behind. Post views 45. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 039, Chapter 39. Twisting the flower rope is not easy. The heavens and the world's pirate world. "Luffy, what are you doing?" Sanji turned around and saw Luffy fiddling with something. He walked closer and saw that he was playing cat's tether. At this moment, the ropes in Luffy's hands were tangled together and tied into a knot. This catwalk is quite interesting, but seems really difficult." Luffy grinned, revealing a smile. "Do you have any more ropes? Let me play with them." Seeing Luffy like this, Sanji also became interested. He didn't believe that he would be like Luffy and couldn't play with such a simple thing. Here you go. Don't tie a knot." Nami took out a rope loop from her pocket and handed it to Sanji. "Well, it looks pretty simple." Sanji tried it twice and said nonchalantly. However, his mind soon changed. "Hey, how come they're suddenly tangled together?" Sanji looked at the knotted rope in his hand, his face full of confusion. It was obviously normal before. How come it suddenly got tangled together? Damn it, this thing doesn't seem to be that simple. Sanji spit out the cigarette in his mouth, looked at the cat's cradle on the screen, and his mentality changed a little. It's not just the world of pirates. It's also the world of Naruto, the world of super beasts, the world of national treasures, the world of spells. When people in different worlds see the video at this point, they all think that a game of catapults is not that difficult. But only after they really get started, they realize how terrifying it is. First of all, it requires extremely high finger dexterity. Some people get their hands tangled up in the rope while playing. And skipping also tests your thinking ability. To make a pattern, you need to think about what to do at each step. If you make a mistake in one step, the whole rope will be tangled together, and all your efforts will be wasted. World of Assassins, oh my god. This little gadget is quite complicated. After playing with it for a long time, Wuluki found out sadly that he was not as good as Xiaofu. Not to mention a wine glass. He couldn't even make a pattern simpler than a wine glass. Seer World, try again, it will definitely work," Atieda said tremblingly. After countless attempts, he no longer dared to underestimate the flower rope. For him, this was even more torturous and difficult than practicing swordsmanship. Naruto World, Shippuden Timeline. "Hey, Sakura, help me." Looking at Naruto, who was tied up like a dumpling and yelling for help from her, Sakura sighed and had a headache. In the light curtain, the man, surrounded in the middle, looked very happy. His soul was about to ascend to heaven. Okay, I know. He pretended to be helpless, but he was already very happy. At this moment, Nobita appeared in front of them with a smile on his face, squinting his eyes and looking straight at Sunio. It was like looking at an ignorant child, which made Xiaofu feel uncomfortable. But he chose to ignore it and said to Shizuka and the others with a smile, "Then please take a good look, listen carefully, just do as I say." As he was speaking, Sunio felt that Nobita's gaze behind him was getting stronger and stronger. He couldn't help but turn his head and point at Nobita, asking angrily, "Hello, I said, what are you doing there?" Hearing Sunio's words, Nobita's expression did not change at all. He still had that faint smile on his face and tilted his head to the side. "I didn't do what you said." Seeing Nobita like this, Sunio was so angry that he had difficulty breathing. He always felt that Nobita looked down on him and came here to laugh at him. "You are obviously having fun in this picture. What does it mean?" "Who knows? Alien world, oh my god." Nobita's smile really looks like he deserves a beating, and it feels weird. Looking at Nobita's half-smile in the picture, it feels full of sarcasm at first glance. Zhang Chuan couldn't help but complain. "Haha, you're right." Susie laughed and said, "That look is like looking at a little baby. I absolutely cannot stand it." In the light curtain, "That's good." Since you're laughing at me like that, why don't you show me a way to open our eyes? Seeing that Sunio was trying to embarrass Nobita, Shizuka on the side quickly spoke up to help Nobita out. Nobita can't do it. Don't bully him. This is so pitiful. Other female classmates also stood up for Nobita. Flying rope, I really don't have much confidence. Nobita scratched his head and pretended to be a little embarrassed. Gintama World. Kagura subconsciously complained. The god of skipping ropes said he has no confidence in skipping ropes. Is this a joke? Sakata Jintoki picked his nose and then pressed his fingers into Kagura's hair. It's obvious that Sunio has fallen into the trap. I didn't expect that Nobita knew the tricks. Compared with him, Sunio is just a child. This time I'm going to be slapped in the face for pretending to be so arrogant. But isn't he just a kid? Kagura complained again, punching Jintoki beside him and angrily said, "Don't put your booger in my hair. Asshole, Fruity Robo World, oh shit. I can't stand this either. What men fear most is when women say no." Pineapple Blowing Snow raised her eyebrows and shouted hurriedly, "Pineapple Snow, if you go, it really doesn't work." Lu Xiao was sniffed and retorted, "Ah, why?" Pineapple Blowing Snow was stunned, not quite understanding what Lu Xiao meant. Lu Xiao was smiled and explained, "Because we don't have fingers, we can't play this cat's cradle." What? Hearing this, Pineapple Blowing Snow and Orange Liuxiang both spread their hands and looked down. As expected, they had no fingers. I fell. They both fell to the ground, and Pineapple Blowing Snow looked up to the sky and howled in sorrow. Poor me. Pineapple Blowing Snow. My tumbling journey has ended before it even began. Post views. 40. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 040 Chapter 40. The powerful Nobita, the poor Xiaofu in the light curtain, hearing Nobita's words. Sunio didn't think much about it and became even more excited. He could already imagine Nobita making a fool of himself in front of all the female classmates. Don't tell me you can't. Come on, just make a simple one. Let's get started. It's really embarrassing. Nobita was still pretending. His acting skills were at the level of an award-winning actor, and he completely fooled Sunio around. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Then I will. Nobita pushed Sunio away and took out his own rope from his pocket. With a swish, in the blink of an eye, the rope loop in Nobita's hand changed into the shape of the wine glass that Sunio had just made. And Nobita's speed was so fast that Sunio and Shizuka behind him were all stunned watching this scene. They didn't see what happened at all. They just saw Nobita's hand flash and the cat's tangle was completed. Make it! At this moment, Xiaofu was so shocked that his jaw dropped to the ground. He never dreamed that not only did Nobita make a wine glass that he was proud of, but he also did it with great ease, as if he had just casually fiddled with the rope a few times. See your world. Just now what happened just now? Sai Xiaoxi was stunned and rubbed his eyes. He did not see clearly what Nobita did. I didn't see it clearly. Kalula shook her head. Nobita's speed was too fast. I didn't see anything at all. Awesome. You are worthy of being Nobita's idol. Achira shouted excitedly, imitating Nobita in the picture and playing cat's tuck again. But the result was still the same. Looking at his bound hands, Achira couldn't help but fall into deep thought. The World of Digimon Episode 5. Wait, did I see it right? Nobita's hand is almost leaving an afterimage. Daimon was shocked as he looked at the screen and then looked at his own hands. How come they're all human beings, but there is such a big difference? Glory World, wow. In the Happy Internet Cafe, Yishio, sitting in front of the computer, looked at the screen of Nobita's operation. His eyes lit up. What a fast hand speed. Even the afterimage appeared. With such hand speed, it would be a shame not to play Honor of Kings. If Nobita was in their world, he would definitely let Nobita follow him to fight in the professional arena of Honor of Kings, and he would definitely become a capable general for him. Chung Guo said, but isn't Nobita still a minor? According to the law, he can't play professionally yet. That's right. Yishio felt very sorry when he heard this. He almost forgot about it in the light curtain. Nobita's performance is not over yet. Make a slight change above. Next second, Nobita's hand moved again, and almost instantly, the rope in his hand turned into the shape of a broom. It becomes a broom. Seeing this scene, Sunio's pupils widened. His eyeballs almost flew out of his sockets, and he was so frightened by Nobita that he couldn't say a word, as if his throat was stuck. Butterfly, 2 ladders. One difficult pattern after another comes one after another. The scene completely turned into Nobita's one-man show. In his hands, the ropes seemed to come alive, and he could create any pattern with ease. Xiaofu was completely numb and stood there stupidly, as if he was petrified. When Nobita came to his senses, he found that the area was filled with onlookers. Pretty! A shout came from the crowd. The rest of the crowd also applauded. Such nimble fingers. My fingers are so fast that I can't see clearly. Child prodigy, the catapult prodigy. Hearing the praise, Nobita blushed and felt embarrassed. Doraemon universe. So awesome. I never thought that a small rope loop could be turned into so many patterns. It's incredible. Miyako covered her mouth with a strange light flashing in her beautiful eyes. This is the charm of Cat's Tuck. But Nobita is a little scary. It feels like the cat's cradle has come alive in his hands. Manu Pastor was also very surprised. The cat's cradle requires great flexibility of fingers and sensitivity of the brain. Nobita's performance exceeded his expectations, especially the flexibility of fingers. Nobita has reached a terrifying level. Glacier, is this the cat's tangle? It looks like a lot of fun. Kara clenched her fists and watched the scene with interest. He turned his head and looked at the doctor beside him, looking expectantly. Doctor, can you make that butterfly pattern? I want to see it. Well, hearing Kara's words, the doctor broke out in a cold sweat and laughed dryly. The butterfly pattern? It's a little bit difficult, a little high. Kara pouted and looked at the doctor. Doctor, you just can't do it. I'm so disappointed. Puni Bear's World, Xiongda, didn't you say that Cat's Tangle is a weapon? I don't think that's the case. It feels more like a toy. Xiong'er looked at Xiongda with suspicion. He realized that he seemed to have been fooled by Xiongda. Xiongda was embarrassed and scratched his head. What about this? In fact, it hasn't been shown yet. Don't worry. Oh, Xiong'er nodded and continued to look at the screen. Naruto looked at the light curtain, then at the ropes wrapped around his hands. He was a little confused. Are they really playing the same thing? Why does it feel so different? Super Beast World, poor little husband, being slapped in the face by Nobita's pretense. Please help him. Hualin Face sighed, looking at Sunio with pity. He was completely controlled by Nobita post views. 39. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are numb. Chapter 041, Chapter 41. Professional skipping player in trouble. The video continues to play when Nobita returned home. He saw his father hurriedly turning on the TV and watching the hottest competition show in the world. Professional roping competition. This competition happens to be the championship match, so it is extremely intense. But the roping game, which was extremely exciting in the eyes of his parents, was boring to Nobita. Nobita even thinks that if he is allowed to participate in the competition, he can easily win the so-called championship. However, when Dad and Mom heard what Nobita said, they didn't believe it and thought that Nobita was just talking in his sleep. Just at this moment, the bell at Nobita's door rang. The person who came to visit was a scout from the Professional Skipping String Association. Because of what happened in the open space this morning, there have been rumors that there is an extremely talented skipping string talent here. The purpose of his late-night visit was precisely for Nobita. He wanted Nobita to enter the professional world of slingshot. In his opinion, with Nobita's talent, it is almost certain that he will become the champion of the roping rope in the future. He even became the best at catapult play and a legend in the world of catapult play. For this purpose, he also brought a contract gold check of 100 million Sakura coins. Looking at the light check in their hands, Nobita's parents felt heavy in their hearts and were confused, but they still accepted the fact that their child was a genius in catapult. Fox World 100 million Sakura coins. Bai Yuechu's eyes almost popped out of his head. If converted into RMB, it would probably be several million. I didn't expect this professional roping player to be so valuable. I want to learn how to play the rope too. Bai Yuechu had never seen so much money in his life. In the picture, The scout just took it out. When he thought that a primary school student like Nobita could make so much money, he was so jealous that he almost went crazy. But Taoist, brother, it seems that we can't make so much money playing catfighting in this world. Tushan Hong Hong nodded her chin and looked at Bai Yuechu with some doubt. Doraemon Universe. On the street. Nanny. 100 million Sakura coins. Nobi Tamako was so shocked that her face turned pale. She felt her legs shaking and she was a little unstable. She didn't expect that in another parallel world, their Nobita could make so much money by playing with a crocheting machine. 100 million Sakura coins is more than the child's father can earn in his entire life. Crayon Shinchan World. 100 million Sakura coins, Mom. How many bear cookies can I buy? Shinasuk turned his head and looked at Mia. How many bear cookies can I buy? Maya was stunned, then raised her head and thought for a moment and said, I should be able to buy small cookies as high as a mountain. As high as a mountain. As soon as these words came out, Xiao Xian suddenly became excited and shouted, Mom, I've decided. I don't want to learn Kendo anymore. I want to learn Catapult. I want 100 million yuan. I also want cookies as high as a mountain. It's useless for you to learn it. There is no such thing as professional catwalk competition in our world. Magical AO world. I didn't expect that the world is so wonderful. Xiaomi was a little bit unbelievable. Just by playing catapults, I can actually make so much money. Looking at the scenes played in the video, he felt that the 3 views he had formed over the years were about to be shattered. In the light curtain the next day, the news that Nobita had become a professional slingshot player spread throughout the streets and alleys. When Nobita was on the street helping his mother run errands, Fat Tiger and Sunio suddenly appeared in front of him. Just when Nobita thought that the two of them were going to bully him, under the surprised gazes of Nobita and Doraemon, the two of them lowered their heads and apologized to Nobita. It turns out that after they learned that Nobita had become a professional catwalk player, they wanted Nobita to be their disciple. Therefore, Fat Tiger and Sunio even quarreled. Nobita breathed a sigh of relief and immediately agreed to accept them both as his apprentices. And at this moment, 2 people who looked like thugs in terms of their attire and temperament appeared in the scene and directly knocked away Nobita, who was blocking them. Walking under the shade of the tree, behind an old man and a child, it's the bad uncle from before. The little boy heard the gangster's voice, turned his head and shouted, Oh my, who is the bad one? Don't say you don't remember this. You broke this, didn't you, little brother? As he was talking, one of the gangsters took out a broken rope from his pocket and said to the little boy. The little boy quickly explained, Uncles, you said it was okay, so I touched it. Who knew the rope would break as soon as I touched it? Another thug shouted angrily. This kind of flower rope is a high-end brand name product. Compensate us quickly. The old lady at the side couldn't help but say, The child said he didn't break it. What did you say? In an instant, the 2 thugs rolled up their sleeves, as if they wanted to beat up the old lady and the child with force. Demon World, these 2 guys are so abominable. It's obvious that these 2 guys are here to cheat. Scum. Miyako frowned, and a rare look of anger appeared on her cute face. She clenched her 2 little fists tightly, very angry. Yes, Pastor Man, you also had a dark face. They also bully children and the elderly. These 2 guys are really hopeless. The world of Digimon Episode 5. How can we stop? Deminda gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing with anger, staring at the 2 thugs in the picture. If I meet such people, I must give them a taste of the fist, bastard. Boss, well said. Agumon S. raised his 2 paws and looked at his own big door with admiration. Hey, you 2 guys, but against that kind of guy, it's okay to use violence occasionally. Fujita, Shino said, holding her forehead post views. 38 check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 042, Chapter 42. Nobita takes action, 3 against 1, and uses secret moves in the light curtain suddenly. The atmosphere was tense. At this time, a man wearing a peaked cap and sunglasses walked past the 2 hooligans and came to the boy. Hey, young man, can you please stop shouting so loudly? I say, little brother, this shouldn't be your fault, right? The man smiled and said softly, but uncles are in a difficult situation, so why don't we give you a special price today? If you buy this rope, I think the matter can be resolved peacefully. But soon, he showed his fangs and stretched them towards the little boy. In this situation, anyone can see that this is a trap set by the three of them, just to make the little boy take the bait and then extort money from him. Damn, my fists are hardened just by watching this. There are actually such scumbags. They are simply the scum of society. If I catch this guy, I'll give him a war trample. Everyone in the heavens was watching this scene with rage, wishing they could rush into the scene and beat up those three guys. The video is still playing. The little boy stood there in a daze, looking panicked, not knowing what to do. The people around were just watching for distance, not daring to step forward to stop them, because those three thugs didn't look like they were easy to mess with. Suddenly, Nobita picked up the broken rope in the sunglasses man's hand, looked at it, and said with a smile, "This kind of rope will break if you touch it a little bit. I always feel that it is not suitable for playing cat's tuck." "Who are you?" Seeing this little devil who suddenly appeared and ruined their good deeds, the three hooligans immediately stared at Nobita and shouted. The little boy behind him recognized Nobita as the catapult genius that has been going viral recently. "You said this kid is a genius in catapult." The gangsters looked at Nobita with disbelief. Fat Tiger and Sunio were still talking about Nobita being a professional roping player now. "You mean occupation? Just this little brat. Stop joking. Mr. Nobita, kill them." The little boy cheered for Nobita. As for Nobita, he was so overjoyed by the compliments that he felt a little shy. "Want to kill us?" Hearing this, the three hooligans laughed as if they had heard a joke. 22nd century, I feel like Nobita is in danger. Doraemon looked at Nobita with a worried look on her face. "Don't worry, my great-grandfather is very good at playing catapult. It won't be a problem for him to deal with three hooligans or even three more." Sharpshooter is very confident in Nobita. But do people in that world also fight with catapults? The status of catapults in their world is the same as studying in our world, or perhaps even higher than studying. But fighting and the like should still be done with fists, right? Is that so? The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. Sharpshooter was stunned. After hearing what Doremi said, he felt that it made some sense. In that case, wouldn't great-grandfather be in trouble? In the light curtain, the three thugs simultaneously pulled out flower ropes from their pockets and assumed a fighting stance. "Well, we have to use catapult to decide the winner." "Call." Nobita sighed and said calmly, "There's nothing we can do about it." Next second, he suddenly opened his eyes wide and took it seriously. For a moment, Fat Tiger, Sunio, and the people around them were all nervously watching this scene, holding their breath, and silently cheering for Nobita in their hearts. "So how do you get on?" Nobita's eyes kept switching back and forth between the three rope loops. He is thinking, should we solve them one by one, or should we solve them all at once? Okay, let's deal with it together as three of us. At this moment, a car suddenly stopped, and under the reflection of the sunlight, the whole picture suddenly flashed. Nobita could only close his eyes, and the three thugs were not affected because they were standing opposite Nobita. "The time is now." The three of them ran towards Nobita at the same time. Hearing the noise, Nobita had to force himself to open his eyes and face. Naruto World. Boruto. Naruto Next Generations. How despicable. Boruto was very angry when he saw the white light suddenly lit up on the screen. He was sure that the guy in the car was definitely their accomplice. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that I just happened to catch up? It is so shameless to use your numbers to bully the minority and cheat. Isn't that right, brother? Sunflower's cute face also showed a little anger. Doraemon Universe. Nobita's house, not good. Nobita is in real danger. Doraemon and Fat Tiger all looked pale and nervously watched the screen. He had to deal with three enemies at the same time and was also blinded by the strong light, missing the opportunity. No matter how good Nobita is at playing the flower rope, his chances of winning are very low. It's like if Taishan tied his hands and feet and faced three adults. Even if he was a boxing champion, his chances of winning were still not great. However, compared to Doraemon, Nobita, the person involved, was surprisingly calm. He just sat there, watching the screen quietly, without saying a word. See your world hateful. Mr. Nobita, you must win. Etiedar raised his two swords and roared vigorously. Those guys are so abominable. They treated a primary school student like this. Xiaozhi, who was standing by, couldn't stand it anymore and shouted indignantly. Post views. 41. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 043, Chapter 43. The well-deserved god of the catapult. The electric-numbed fat tiger in the light curtain, in the shocked eyes of everyone. Nobita uses 2 hands and 1 foot to deal with 3 thugs at the same time. Made separately 3 difficult patterns. Mount Fuji, Eagle, and Eggplant. Obviously, the victory of this game has been decided. Nobita wins. Pretty. Suddenly, people gathered around and thunderous applause broke out. Everyone was cheering loudly for Nobita. Doraemon Universe 1. Doraemon and his friends were all stunned, and it was hard to believe what was happening on the screen. It wasn't that they didn't want Nobita to win, it was just that the victory was a little too sudden. Nobita, who was originally at a disadvantage, suddenly completely defeated his opponent, and it only took a moment. To them, it was a little too dreamy. Just like in the first video, when Nobita fought against Sable 2. I'm stronger. Doraemon felt his throat was a little hoarse, and he turned his head stiffly to look at Nobita, who looked calm and composed. Although he knew that Nobita was very good at skipping ropes, he didn't expect him to be so good. Nobita, you were so handsome just now. Yes, Nobita, you almost scared me to death just now. Fat Tiger, Sunio, and Shizuka all spoke up. Glacier, he is worthy of being called the god of skipping. I didn't expect that Cat's Tangle could be played this way. Kara's eyes showed surprise. Although she believed that Nobita would win, she didn't expect that he would win so easily. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX World. Duel Academy, so cool. But it's really a strange world, a duel based on catapults? Yujo Judai touched his chin and said, shouldn't a duel be based on playing cards? Naruto World. Shippuden Era, Kirigakura Village. Wow. Maderumi's eyes lit up when she saw this scene. She looked at Nobita in the picture with fiery eyes and couldn't help licking the corner of her mouth. What an awesome little brother. Your fingers are so flexible. It's amazing. King, who was standing next to her, heard the words of his own Mizukage, and a few black lines floated across his forehead. What kind of tiger-like words are these? Nobita is just an elementary school student. He thought that he might have to keep an eye on the Mizukage in the future to prevent him from doing anything excessive. In the light curtain, with the help of Nobita, the gangsters apologized to the little boy and everyone reconciled. Nobita, teach us. You were so good just now. You can also teach us how to play cat's tuck. Shizuka and the others immediately came forward, surrounded Nobita, and shook him by the hand. Please take good care of yourself. Genius catwalk boy Nobita. Just call me Nobita. In the arms of Shizuka and others, under the admiring gaze of the young man, Nobita left the scene step by step and disappeared from the screen. This round of videos has ended. The rewards are being sent out. Please check in time, Mr. Nobi. At this moment, the picture is frozen. The light curtain dimmed again seeing this scene. The entire universe was in an uproar. Damn, I really envy Nobita. He is so young, and yet he has so many girls around him. Yes, compared to Nobita, I feel like I've lived like a dog all my life. I have grown up, but I have never even held a girl's hand. How can I give up? If you replace me with Nobita and give me $1 million, let me live in a villa and eat delicious food every day, I would be willing to do it. Wow, you can eat and take at the same time, right? After watching this video, almost all male compatriots envy Nobita even more. Which man hasn't dreamed of having 2 girls on his left and right? However, only a few can realize it. But Nobita is just an elementary school student, but he has achieved it. How can we not envy him? Alien world, damn it. Nobita is such a lucky guy. I, Zhang Chulan, have been single since birth. It's so sad, so sad. Zhang Chulan felt more and more wrong the more she thought about it, and she was almost crying out of anger. Zhang Chulan, what are you doing? Feng Bao Bao came close to Zhang Chulan and asked, fuck, Sister Bauer, you scared me. Zhang Chulan was so frightened that she jumped up and held back the tears that were about to fall. And Nobita is home. Hateful. We are all Nobita. Why is the me in the other world so comfortable? Nobita was also envious, and his originally calm expression suddenly became unsustainable. Since the light curtain did not explain the origin of the world of catapults, they did not know that it was actually the world created by Nobita using the telephone booth. They just thought it was another parallel world. What's up, Nobita? Do you really want to be hugged by women? A cold voice sounded from behind Nobita. Nobita raised his eyebrows and felt that there seemed to be a murderous aura coming from behind him. He turned his head and was immediately frightened. Shizuka was staring at him intently, her black hair fluttering without wind, and her fierce momentum. Well, of course not. I have always been very resistant to such behavior. The me in the other world is really undisciplined. Nobita changed the subject and began to criticize himself in the picture. At this moment, a ball of light appeared in his hand again. Nobita was stunned, and then he remembered that this should be the reward this time. The ball of light dissipated, and what was wrapped inside was actually a pair of gloves. Super gloves. A pair of gloves that can do anything, from moving boulders to protecting against extreme heat and cold, and can even cling to anything. It also has extremely strong defense. If you want, you can even use your bare hands to launch missiles, but it is not recommended to try it easily. Another prop. Nobita discovered that the glove had Nobita written on one side and Nobita on the other. His exclusive label. Nobita, can you lend it to me to play with for a while? Fat Tiger looked at Nobita eagerly, making Nobita blush. Okay, I'll lend it to you for fun. However, when Nobita handed the glove to Fat Tiger, the glove floated up from Fat Tiger's hand and flew in front of Fat Tiger. Bang! Bang! 2 punches hit Fat Tiger's face. Fat Tiger screamed, and his eyes turned into panda eyes. The glove automatically returned to Nobita's hand. The incident happened suddenly, and everyone present was stunned. Nobita looked at the glove, lying quietly on his hand, and said, "It turns out that I can only use it myself. There is no other way. Fat Tiger, you also saw it. Then why did you hit me?" Fat Tiger suddenly felt wronged. If he was not allowed to use it, then he could just fly back. Why did he come over and beat him up? Post views 45. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 044, Chapter 44. Kamen Rider Foundry, the awesome energy bottle guy. After a while, the screen lit up again, and new videos came one after another. Protect, love, and peace. The destroyed Kiryu Battle Rabbit. Kamen Rider build. Awesome energy bottle guy. Here we go. Kamen Haida Universe. Build world. Ryuga's eyes lit up, and he excitedly shouted to Sento beside him. Sento, your name is on it. Is it finally your turn this time? Kiryu Sento glanced at Ryuga, who looked a little silly. I can see it, but what does this energy bottle guy mean? Is he saying that I need an energy bottle to transform? But this is awesome. This is a bit too rough. Hey, Sento, it says above that you're broken. Could it be that, like the previous era list, you are also going to become twisted, broken, and dark? Ryuga guessed. Hearing what Ryuga said, Sento rolled his eyes at him. If you say so, the first sentence won't be about love and peace, okay? This break should mean something else. That makes sense. At the same time, in the 2068 space-time of the OS world, in a deserted area, there stood a throne that exuded a sense of oppression, and on the throne sat a lone and arrogant golden figure. Just by sitting there, one could feel the powerful aura of the king. Bill Omazo nodded slightly. That guy's final form is indeed full of energy bottles, which fits the term energy bottle guy as the first highlight video of our Kamen Rider. It is really interesting. World 01. Inside the Haiden Corporation Kamen Rider build, Haiden Naruto was slightly stunned and frowned slightly. Is there really a Kamen Rider called Build in this world? Why haven't I heard of it? Could it be that he is from another world? However, as the first Kamen Rider senior on the list, it is really exciting. Doraemon Universe. In the mechanical utopia. In a small and dark room. Lilialu, what is Kamen Rider? Judo asked the pink-haired girl beside him. Lilula shook her head, her face also full of doubts. Never heard of it, but it sounds like a masked knight. Ben 10 World Kamen Rider is so cool. Xiaoban shouted excitedly, Die 2. Do you know what Kamen Rider is? Xiaoban asked. I don't know. Xiaoban immediately shook his head. So what are you talking about? Puni Bear's World, Xiongda, Mass Rider, forget it. I'd better go ask Baldy King. Xiong'er subconsciously wanted to ask Xiongda again, but he remembered that Xiongda had deceived him badly last time. He insisted that the catapult was a weapon more dangerous than a sword or a gun. He was stunned. Looking at Xiong'er's back, Xiongda's face darkened. He was actually looked down upon by Xiong'er. In the light curtain at the beginning of the scene, I, who had just eaten the Wanzhang Long, fell to the ground, covered in wounds, looking very embarrassed. What are you doing, Wanzhong? At this time, a pair of feet appeared beside Longhua. At the same time, an exciting music sounded. Ryuga opened his eyes with difficulty and vaguely looked at Kiryu Battle Rabbit standing in front of him. Saving the world is indeed too much of a burden for a supporting character. Battle Rabbit. I wanted to stand up from the ground, but the slightest movement caused the wound on my body to flare up, causing me to fall down again. Kamen Rider Build World. I stared at myself lying on the screen with my eyes wide open, and my face suddenly turned pale. What the hell? It's obviously a video of Jean 2. Why am I here? It's fine if he showed up, but why did he fall to the ground right after the start? Longhua looked very ugly. If people from other worlds saw this, wouldn't he lose all his face? I think this way of appearance suits you very well. Janta couldn't help but tease. Continue to watch the video. Kiryu. Janta raised his lips, and a confident smile appeared on his face. The narcissistic and arrogant hero of justice has been resurrected. Kiryu Sento shouted loudly, and a blue and yellow energy bottle appeared in his hand. Hearing what Janta said, Ryuga, who was lying on the ground, smiled with relief on his scarred face. Then he chuckled and said meaningfully, You are so slow. Alien World Puff. Zhang Chulan immediately spat out the water he had just drunk. He wiped the corner of his mouth and looked at the 10,000-foot-long dragon in the picture. What kind of lewd words are these? Okiryu Battle Rabbit smiled and said, Well, let's start the experiment. The words fell. He pressed the top of the energy bottle. In an instant, a very discordant voice sounded. Awesome. Oh, awesome. Seeing this, almost everyone in the world was confused, with a bunch of question marks floating in their heads. Wait, that bottle seemed to make some strange noises. If I heard correctly, it seemed to be awesome. What is this thing? Why does it make such a sound? It's too outrageous. Damn, I was shocked. For a moment, everyone was a little shocked, and they all looked at the energy bottle in Jantu's hand with curiosity. After all, who wouldn't like an energy bottle that can shout awesome? Post views. 58. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 045, Chapter 45. The social death of Kiryu Battle Rabbit. Rewarded with alien energy bottle in the light curtain after activating the genius full bottle. Janta directly inserted it into the driver on his waist. Very smart. The voice echoed in the picture again. Yeah, 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 yeah. Along with the devilish voice, a base similar to a laboratory table suddenly appeared under Jantu's feet. Are you ready? Transformation. The moment the words fell, the war rabbit's body was covered with silver-white armor, and the surrounding energy bottles were inserted into the surface of the armor one by one. Awesome energy bottle guy. Chwonky is very smart. Awesome. So awesome. Kamen Rider Build World. Battle Rabbit and Ryuga both opened their mouths wide, staring at the screen in disbelief. After a long while, Ryuga finally came to his senses, looked at Battle Rabbit beside him with a complicated expression, hesitated for a few seconds before speaking. I didn't expect that Battle Rabbit would have such a bad taste. You made the transformation sound effect so magical. I thought you were a serious guy. Hearing what Ryuga said, Janta couldn't help but take 2 steps back, looked at his hands, and muttered to himself, Impossible! This is absolutely impossible! How could I possibly make such a sound effect? There must be some misunderstanding here. What kind of misunderstanding could there be? Isn't it clearly played in the video? Battle Rabbit, you are such a person. However, The sound effect is actually not bad, just a little bit magical. Several black lines appeared on Jantu's forehead. Another time in space. Omizio sat on the throne, but after seeing the scene in the video, he raised his eyebrows slightly, and a puzzled look appeared on his armored face. He didn't remember that the sound effect of the genius form of the guy from Soki was like this. Doraemon universe. Is this Kamen Rider? He looks ugly. Besides, why does the transformation make such a sound? It's so weird. Miyako couldn't help but complain, and she didn't like the shape of the genius form of the foundry. The whole body is full of energy bottles, which feels too weird. Alien World Puff. Is this Kamen Rider? It's also a really smart form. It's really awesome. Zhang Chuan laughed. After all, it was a bit awkward who would use this kind of transformation sound effect. Su Sin pushes glasses. It seems that the people in that world, it seems that his aesthetic concept is different from ours. In the light curtain after seeing the genius form appear, everyone present looked at him in shock. And Janta put his hands on his head, then spread out his 5 fingers and shouted, "The rules of victory have been determined." Under the sunlight, the armor shines brightly. The picture also dimmed a little. Seer World. After seeing the light screen dim, Sai Xiaozhi was full of doubts. No way. Is the video this short? I only watched it for about a minute. Atieda snorted coldly. Boring. This video is not just for me to watch a guy with a brain problem. Ka Lulu on the side touched her chin and said, "Actually, I think the smart form is pretty handsome, but that it's just that the transformation method is a bit too weird." Nawa World. Duanmu Yin frowned and could tell that the so-called Kamen Rider should be the same as his Nawa armor, both of which were transformation armor. This is too bad fun. It's fine if there's a sound when transforming, but why does it sound so? It's hard to evaluate Duanmu Yin. Anyway, he can't accept it. Even if he is given the great conscience of the Creation Rider, he doesn't want to transform. As long as he thinks about it, he has to transform like this every time he deals with Oxer. It's really embarrassing. My Flame Nava is better. Naruto World. Shippuden period. Well, that guy looks handsome, but he doesn't seem to have a good brain. Madarumi felt it was a pity. She originally thought that the guy named Kiryu Battle Rabbit was fair and tender and was a good marriage partner. But at this moment, Madarumi no longer had this idea. If she really married him, would her future children have some brain problems? The world was full of discussion. Only Janta felt innocent. The video has ended. Characters being cleared. Rewards are being cleared. Congratulations to Kamen Rider Build World. Kiryu Battle Rabbit received the reward, a set of alien biological energy bottles. Kamen Rider Build World great. Sento, you are such an enviable guy that you can get a reward. Ryuga shouted. Sento's mood was not very good. Although it was good to get a reward, it was exchanged for his integrity and reputation. He would rather not have this reward and let the video not be broadcast. This is definitely a black history that he can't wash away in the future. Ryuga also saw Sento's mood and comforted him. Okay, since it has happened, let's see what the alien energy bottle is. Sento glanced at Ryuga, nodded lightly, and opened the golden box that fell from the sky. There were 2 strange-looking energy bottles inside. Sento picked up and took a look. 4-handed Overlord energy bottle, super giant energy bottle. He frowned and wondered, what kind of alien creature is this? I've never heard of it. I recognize the dragon next to him. Isn't this the alien monster in Tian Xiaoban's error list? I've seen it when I watched the video before. The 4-armed Overlord seems to be a red monster with 4 hands, and the supergiant is a super huge one, several times bigger than a house. Can both of these things be made into energy bottles? Post views. 41. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 046 Chapter 46. God's Toot Sao. The new big-headed son and the small-headed father. The screen flashes again. And a new video begins God's complaints. The new big-head son and small-head dad is simply disgusting to the audience. It's a shitty masterpiece. The world of Big-Head Son. At Big-Head's home, Mr. Scrooge. Did you see that? We are also on the video. Great. We can get a reward too. Big-Head Son jumped up and down excitedly. But the face of little head father standing next to him was not very good. Big head son, don't be happy too soon. Look at the title. It's obviously not a good word. I feel like we should be criticized by this light screen, just like Ahi. The smile on Big Head Son's face suddenly froze. Doraemon Universe. Nobita's house. The cesspool masterpiece? The scolding was so harsh. Doraemon was a little surprised, and at the same time very curious about what the big-headed son and the small-headed father had done. Big-headed son, small-headed father, don't you think it's strange? Seeing the introduction on the screen, Nobita felt that his CPU was about to burn up. What's wrong? Fat Tiger turned his head and looked at Nobita. Why can a father with a small head give birth to a son with a big head? Is it because his mother has a big head? On the planet Glacier, Kara sat on Dumbo and stroked its furry fur. Are you complaining again? It seems that the big-headed son and the small-headed father have been punished. She looked up at the light screen, then said with her pink lips, but I'm really afraid that one day I will be specially criticized by this light curtain and have a video made about it. When I think about the possibility that my past or future dark history may be exposed, I'm afraid that by then I will want to die. Hearing this, the doctor smiled and said, "Don't do anything wrong. You don't have to be afraid of ghosts knocking on the door. As long as you don't do anything bad that harms the world, there is no need to be afraid." Kara recalled what happened in the past in her mind. It seems that she really didn't do anything bad that could be complained by the light curtain. Thinking of this, she felt better. In the light curtain new big head son and small head father, I believe everyone here must have seen this animation. Even if you haven't seen it, you must have heard of it. Accompanied by a voice, two figures suddenly appeared in the picture. A little boy and an adult man. The boy's head is particularly large, even larger than his body. The adult man's head is very small, like a cucumber. However, if no one had said it, no one would have thought that the two were father and son, because they had no similarities at all. Seer world, them are these really father and son? What similarities do they have besides gender? Xiaozhi's expression was very strange. If I had to describe it, it would be like the classic expression of the old man on the subway. Calulu speculated they should have been adopted. Otherwise, it is unlikely that they are father and son. Super Beast World, you call them father and son, but the mother of the big-headed son has never done anything to let down the small-headed father, right? Hualin Fei's eyes widened, somewhat unable to believe that the two people in the picture were father and son. After all, how could a guy with such a small head give birth to a son with a head as big as a basketball? This doesn't make any sense at all. If they were adopted, it would be understandable, but if not, he would never believe it without Lao Wang's help. Miao Qiaojuan said, maybe it's a genetic mutation. Fatty. Hualin Fei glanced at Slim June and said, do you think the probability of a genetic mutation is higher or something else? Well, Miao Qiaojuan touched his head and thought that what Hualin Fei said made some sense. The video screen is still playing, so this time let's talk about the weird behaviors of Big Head Son and Small Head Dad in this animation. The key point is whether Big Head Son has any moral integrity. Let's first talk about an episode called Thunderstrike. Xiao Ming's father modified a model airplane for Xiao Ming so that Xiao Ming can participate in the model airplane competition. Big Head immediately became dissatisfied when he saw it. As I said that, I asked my dad to make one for me too. The result was that he used his own remote control plane to save face and said that if he was not convinced, he should fight. Come if you want, it's normal to win or lose, it's all about mentality. But after the Big Head competition, my mentality exploded because Xiao Ming's plane was really amazing. Hitting his plane was like a joke. Big Head is very unhappy at this time. The Mr. Bean, whom you almost never see working, comes. He always has time and can always do everything. The key is to live in a villa in a big city. As a professional tool man, you can't help but accept it. The world of Big Head Son. When Little Head Father heard the words on the screen, he felt a little strange. Was he praising him or scolding him? He said that he hardly saw any work in the previous second, which meant that he was idle every day. In the next second, he said that he could do anything and he had to accept it. He was a little confused and didn't know whether to be angry or happy. However, he always had a bad feeling. After listening to Big Head Son's explanation of the whole cause and effect, Small head dad said. It was no big deal. As an engineer, this is a piece of cake for me. Then the transformation began. In the picture, Mr. Little Head smiled confidently, then took out the equipment and transformed and upgraded the plane of his son. There was a rope in the equipment that was particularly eye-catching. Please pay attention to this rope, and you will know how evil this thing is. It is also very mysterious to Big Head's son, and you will know the effect when the time comes. Doraemon World rope? Bad morals? Nobita was stunned, not knowing what this meant. Doraemon seemed to have thought of something, with a strange expression on his face. Doraemon, what do you think this rope is for? For a moment, everyone's eyes turned to Doraemon. Doraemon replied, Did you all notice the propeller on the plane? What would happen if it got entangled by the rope? The plane will definitely crash. Sunio blurted out. After being reminded of this, Nobita and the others all reacted. How cunning. It's just a game between children. Is it necessary to do this? Nobita and the others all had some opinions about Mr. Bean. Doraemon quickly said, This is just my guess. Maybe it's not like that. Let's not jump to conclusions. Just read on for a while post-views. 40 Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 047 Chapter 47. The unprecedented action of the little-headed son the video continues to play Datu is very competitive and wants to challenge Xiaoming to a duel. Then, during the competition, Xiaoming was caught off guard and a rope was thrown down from a high altitude, and the rope landed on Xiaoming's propeller. It is easy to imagine what would happen. Xiaoming's plane was scrapped on the spot. This is what Mr. Bean said. You will know when the time comes. He is immoral because as an adult you actually deliberately used such a dirty trick to let your son win. It is totally against the will of heaven. At this time, Xiaoming was already crying, and Data burst into laughter on the spot, and his competitive spirit was greatly satisfied. Then the most shameless scene happened. Data walked to Xiaoming naturally, looked at the plane he had damaged, and said, Don't be sad, Xiaoming, it's just a game. I am. You are such a genius. How did you manage to lean forward without blushing or getting nervous? This is just a game. After all this time, is it because Xiaoming is too serious? When you win, you act like a life mentor who has seen through the world. But since you lost with the first sentence, why don't you tell yourself that it's just a game? Such an amazing plot and unscrupulous logic. I really admire the screenwriter of this episode. Alien World, damn it, this guy's another double standard dog. He is just as good as Ahi. Zhang Chulan cursed again. Even he couldn't stand it. This big-head son is too thick-skinned. He thought he was already very shameless. But there's actually a master. This father and son pair is really something that makes people speechless. Susan shook his head and looked at the big-headed son and the small-headed father in the picture with some disgust. Huh? Susie laughed and looked at Zhang Chulan teasingly. The world is so big. There are really all kinds of wonders. I didn't expect that there are guys more shameless than you, Chulan. Zhang Chulan heard this and was full of resistance. Brother Susi, please don't let me compare with this kind of person. Although I am shameless, I won't be like this. Doraemon Universe. Mermaid Kingdom. These two guys are so annoying. Aren't they bullying people? Sophia couldn't help but show a trace of anger on her delicate face, because the behavior of the big-headed father and son in the picture made her feel physically uncomfortable. How can you bully an honest person like this? Little Harry was also very angry and swung the silver spear in his hand vigorously. It's so infuriating. How dare that big-headed son say such things so openly? Spell world, how abominable. Xiaoyu was also very angry and said rudely, Is such a big head filled with shit? After hearing Xiaoyu's words, Chenlong agreed with her, but still frowned and said, Xiaoyu, you're a girl, so you should speak more politely. You can't speak so harshly, okay? Got it, Uncle Long. I really couldn't help it this time. Xiaoyu nodded obediently and stuck out her tongue at Chenlong playfully. Okay, I won't say it this time. This big-headed son is really too much. I didn't expect that there's a child who is more worrying than you. Xiaoyu heard this, and her pretty face was very dissatisfied. Uncle Long, what are you talking about? I'm not like that big-headed son. Okay, I was wrong. Happy Gray World. Wolfsburg is expected, like father, Like son. Red Wolf glanced at little Gray Gray who was sitting at her feet and said, Little Gray Gray, you must not be as unruly as the big head son in the movie in the future. Yes, I will be obedient to my mother. Xiao Hui nodded quickly. So good. Red Wolf smiled gently, then looked at Gray Wolf on the other side. Husband, you must not be like that little head dad. You must teach little Gray Wolf well. Of course, wife. Gray Wolf patted his chest and said confidently, I will definitely teach little Gray to be a capable wolf king in the future. Hey, Red Wolf sighed slightly. I don't expect Xiao Hui to become a wolf king. I just hope he can be healthy and grow up happily. Back to the light curtain, of course. It's not over yet. What's even more amazing is the episode where Mr. Bean gets sick. Children taking care of sick adults is a very good topic with great educational significance. Look how that big-headed guy ruined this plot. Mr. Bean caught a cold and had a fever. He lay on the bed, groaning, and his nose was full of snot. The big-headed son saw it and decided to help his father cure his illness. The first trick is to help him cool down. Just shine the electric fan on his face, and it will be blurry. Good job. The father is kind, and the son is filial. I'm really afraid that Xiaodu will be played to death by his son. In the Super Beast world, Huo Linfei gave a thumbs up to the big head in the picture. This operation was unexpected to him. If he had such a filial child, he would definitely treat him to his favorite big mouthful. The child said it was delicious after eating it. If a child is ignorant, how would a normal adult react? We must stop it immediately and explain that this is wrong. But look at what this little head dad with zero brain capacity is doing. He is just making a lot of noises. Then he wrapped himself in a quilt and shivered on the spot. If you didn't know him, you would think he was a mute. Even if you can't speak, at least you can do something as simple as turning off the fan. You're a bridge architect. Ben, 10 World. You really don't say this little head dad has such a small head. His brain capacity may really be 0. Tian Xiaoban said with a smile. It must be said that the father and son in the picture are really funny. Xiaowen, who was typing on the computer, heard Xiaoban's words, stopped what he was doing, looked at the screen, and complained, I think we should stop calling them big head son and small head dad. Just call the dad the one with brain atrophy and the son the one with hydrocephalus. What he did was beyond the imagination of normal people, which was amazing. Post views. 38. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 048, Chapter 48. Shameless, if you don't lend, you will rob. In a light curtain, big head son doesn't see any effect. I brought another bucket of ice, and then I fell again. It became like this. In the picture, Mr. Bean was lying on the bed shivering. His body and clothes were full of ice cubes. There was also an ice bucket hanging on his head. But even so, he just hugged his body with his hands, shivering, and said nothing. Just look at this idiot who lets himself be tortured without any resistance or words. It's pitiful to watch. What's even funnier is, an adult actually asked a delicate question. Does taking medicine work? Bro, are you serious? Crayon Shinchan World. Noera Hiroshi looks at Mr. Cornet with his brows furrowed. This little-headed dad really hasn't fulfilled his responsibilities as a father at all. It is really outrageous to educate children like this. In his opinion, the reason why Big Head Son is so naughty is largely because Small Head Father did not educate him well. Although their Xiaoxin is also very naughty, even worse than Big Head Son. But when Meiyu was sick last time, Xiaoxin would not make trouble like Big Head Son, and even helped his mother with Housework Demon World. Miyako couldn't understand. What on earth is this small-headed father doing? Is he just letting his big-headed son mess around? Pastor Manyu shook his head and said, this father and son pair is really speechless. The video on the screen is still playing big-head son stays with small-head father all day long. If nothing else, any father would tell his son not to get close to him. Then, tell him that colds are contagious. As a children's play, the very important science popularization is directly ignored, and the characters are just tools. There is another episode where the outrageous mother opens the door to the outrageous. It's outrageous. Summer is here, and heat is the key word. If the price is even worse, it must be stuffy. It's hot even without wind. The air conditioner at home is on strike again. Big Head Son and Small Head Dad are going crazy. I'm imagining how great it would be if I could soak in ice water right now. Suddenly, I had an idea and said, "Dad, let's go swimming." Mr. Bean said with a frustrated look on his face, "Forget it. The swimming pool is under maintenance and is not open." Just when I was about to be shocked, I heard a splashing sound outside the house. I went to see that it was my neighbor Uncle Mao who was swimming at home. Seeing that he had built a swimming pool at home, the two of them were so excited that they flew to the sky. Then they quickly put on their swimsuits and ran to the door, saying without any politeness that they wanted to borrow your swimming pool. Hey, what kind of relationship do I have with you guys? I'm lending you something so personal. Then he met a ruthless person, and Uncle Mao got furious. No, it's not possible. The attitude is very direct. But Mr. Littlehead was still talking with a smile on his face. "You're too stingy, old man." "Oh my God, this is how you talk. If you are generous, I can live in your house. If you don't want to, I will say you are too stingy." This pissed off Mao so much that he put up a sign saying, "Private swimming pool, no entry for outsiders." Actually, there is nothing wrong with it. You could say that Lao Mao is very aggressive, but you can't say that others are wrong. It's his own swimming pool. If you don't have a good relationship with him, he shouldn't lend it to you. The pool is dirty, and it's the cost of changing the water at home. But Big Head Son got angry and stuck out his tongue and made faces at Uncle Mao. I don't know what's wrong with this. The players just have to look at other people's faces. It seems like if you open your mouth, others will give it to you, right? Why don't you just go and grab it? Doraemon Universe. Nobita's home. Hearing the words of the video commentator, Nobita, Doraemon, Shizuka, and others all nodded. They felt that what he said made sense. If someone lends you something, it's a favor. If not, it's your duty. Besides, the swimming pool is a private thing, and a relationship is just SOSO, so it's normal not to lend it to them. This big-headed son is so rude. It is reasonable for him to go to someone else's house to swim for free, right? Fat Tiger shouted with clenched fists. Xiaofu played with his hair, shook his head, and said with disdain, "This young master hates this kind of guy who likes to swim for free the most." Shihui World. Sheep Village. Slow Sheep looked at the lambs around him and tapped the ground with his wooden cane a few times, causing the lambs to look over. Then he cleared his throat and spoke slowly. "Don't be like that big-headed son. Remember, don't be rude if others don't lend you money. It is understandable that someone else does not lend you his or her things." Did you hear that? I heard it, Village Chief. The lambs all nodded. Glory World. Depend on. Isn't this moral kidnapping? This father and son pair makes my head hurt. Chunwa couldn't help but say in a light curtain at this time, the father should play the most basic role of verbal education. But guess what happened? Mr. Bean didn't take it seriously and came up with a good idea. That means we are skilled and brave. Let's climb over the wall and get in. He got his son in there, climbed over the wall himself, and was so shameless that he jumped into the swimming pool. Fruity Robo World, oh my God. This father is really amazing. I have never seen anyone educate his son like this. Pineapple Blowing Snow was so annoyed by the behavior of the little-headed father that it was hard to accept. What kind of father would take his son to do bad things? Chang Liuxiang was also shocked and complained. No wonder this big-headed son is like this. It turns out that his father is even more heavyweight, and he has ruined the child. Lu Xiao was said, "I really don't know who his mother is. She is so confident that the little-headed father can teach his child like this. I am really stunned." Big Head Son's world. Looking at the images on the screen, Big Head Son did not feel anything wrong, and even felt a little angry and aggrieved. Uncle Mao is too stingy. It's just a swimming pool, not something very expensive. He can't even let us swim for a while. Mr. Littlehead also said, "That's right, that guy Mao is really too mean. We have been his neighbor for so long, but he is not willing to lend us a swimming pool. Besides, it's just a small matter. There's no need to make it so harsh in this video." Post views. 44. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 049, Chapter 49. The Beaten Mr. Bean, The Sharpshooter, another title of Nobita. The video on the screen is still playing before this. People had told you not to swim, but now you just climbed over the wall and came in. To put it bluntly, it's all illegal, right? The two men did not succeed and were bitten by the guard dog and ran away. In order to protect her son, she was bitten half to death. But why am I not moved at all? Because they come again, this time quietly, and bring a bone as bait, and now there is no one to stop their invasion. It was a very pleasant experience, and then the host came. Uncle Mao didn't find these two guys because they hid in time. The most annoying thing is, when Uncle Mao was swimming and didn't notice them in order to drive Uncle Mao away, he pretended to be a shark and scared him half to death. Uncle Mao doesn't let the dog go into the water, which is not okay in their eyes. Why is he treating them unfairly? After scaring away Uncle Mao, he took the initiative to let the puppy come and play with him. They are so happy now, as if this swimming pool is their own home. There were all kinds of fancy games in it. After Uncle Mao found out, he had to drain the water. Let's drive away the two shameless guys. In the picture, Mr. Bean stood on the diving board and posed a few pretentious poses, then jumped into the swimming pool. But the water in the swimming pool had been drained clean, without a drop left. Bang! With a loud bang, Mr. Bean's body slammed heavily on the bottom of the swimming pool, as if it was going to break. But looking at the embarrassed Mr. Bean, everyone in the heavens and the world felt very relieved. After all, in their opinion, what the big-headed father and son did was really infuriating. It was the perfect interpretation of the word shameless. So basically no audience had any good feelings towards this father and son, and seeing them get humiliated only made them feel happy. Refreshing, well-deserved. They ruined someone else's swimming pool like this, right? This father and son are so disgusting. Yeah, I can't stand it anymore. Everything they do is so inhumane. I think it was Uncle Mao who was wrong. He was wrong for not hitting them directly at that time. But don't lose heart, Mr. Smallhead told his son that we can dig our own swimming pool. Now, even Uncle Mao's puppy has been turned against us. Help them dig. Passersby asked what we were doing. When they found out we were digging a swimming pool, they said, "Can I come and swim too?" Now is the time to reflect the significance of this episode. Big Head Son said, of course, we welcome everyone, and then passersby happily help them dig. Have you figured it out? As a class representative, let me tell you the idea that this episode is about. That is, don't be too selfish. If you have good things, learn to share them with everyone. The only stingy person is yourself, but people like Big Head Son can be loved by everyone. Do you understand? But even more shameless is still behind. They dug the swimming pool, but there's no water. Just when everyone was frustrated, the dog dug a hole, then dug a tunnel, dug directly under Uncle Mao's swimming pool, and easily filled his own swimming pool. Stealing water is not enough, Mr. Bean announced to everyone's cheers. Please enjoy swimming. Seemingly logical, but in fact a robbery. Motorcycle world, oh shit, there is such a thing. Lolo was almost dumbfounded. He originally thought that Mr. and Mrs. Big Head had sneaked into someone else's yard. It was disgusting enough that they used the swimming pool without Uncle Mao's consent. Unexpectedly, there was something even more disgusting. In the end, they had to steal the water from Uncle Mao's house and let a group of strangers swim freely. At this moment, Lolo just wanted to say, is there any justice or law? Palihuo beside him also had an ugly expression. Lolo, it's a good thing that you are the Robot King. If the Robot King is Mr. and Mrs. Big Head, our motorcycle family will have no hope of winning. The Vanguard snorted coldly. If that's the case, I don't care what kind of Robot King he is. I will just kill him with one knife. Super Beast World, unbelievable. It's really too outrageous. And that dog is really rebellious. At this moment, Hualin Fei was already struck by the thunder of the plot in the picture, and was burned on the outside and tender on the inside. Meow, Xiaozhi nodded. Uncle Mao raised you up, but in the end he just gave you a bone and let him swim in the water, and you were actually turned against him? In my opinion, it would be more practical to make this kind of dog into dog meat hot pot. Damn it, I'm so angry that my teeth itch. Seer world, damn it. Atita's eyes were about to burst into flames. What this father and son did was not a good thing, and people should not be so selfish. Bah, this is complete nonsense. This is not a question of being selfish. The behavior of these two guys can be called robbery. Xiaozhi was also very annoyed. That's very well said. Achieta, I support you this time. How can a child like Big Head Son be loved by everyone? I just want to know who likes this guy. His head is so big. Is it full of lumps? Kalulu looked at Uncle Mao in the picture with sympathy and sighed. So in the end, only Uncle Mao was injured. Damn it. When I thought about the ending that Big Head Son and his two friends were still alive and well, and were even liked by others, I was so angry that my fist stiffened. Fat Tiger suddenly stood up and raised his slightly stiff fist. Uncle Mao is so pitiful. Shizuka looked at Uncle Mao with big eyes, full of sympathy. She just wanted to protect her own swimming pool, but she was bullied by Big Head Son and Small Head Father. Yes, everyone nodded in agreement. On the other side, Nobita Tamako was also paying attention to the light curtain. Really, I can't believe there are such fathers in the world. If my son is like Big Head Son, I'm afraid I really can't help but beat him. Although Nobita is usually easy to get angry, she usually just says it verbally, even if Nobita gets 0 points in the exam or does something bad. She rarely hits Nobita. After all, in her opinion, beating children is indeed not a good behavior. But if Big Head Son is like this, he should be beaten, and beaten hard. Compared with him, she feels that Nobita before the light curtain appeared was much better. Although Nobita loves to sleep and is not good at studying, Nobita's character is at least not a problem, and he is even very kind and considerate. In a light curtain, preaching for the sake of preaching has become the biggest problem of this series. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. The gentle mother in the old version is directly the irritable housewife. The small-headed father turned into a mentally retarded idiot, and the big-headed son turned into a child-hating person. Video ends. At this moment, the light screen dimmed. Doraemon Universe, huh? There's no reward this time? Nobita was surprised and said. After hearing what Nobita said, Doraemon complained. It's good that these two guys didn't get punished. What kind of reward do they want? This is not a positive energy video. That's right, Nobita reacted and nodded. However, I remember that time when Guangmu specifically said that he had no reward. So why? Not this time. Fat Tiger scratched his head, a little confused. This Doraemon thought for a moment and said, maybe it's because Taichi got a reward last time, and he just got it as a bonus. Call. Fortunately, Mr. Littlehead patted his chest and breathed a sigh of relief. He had thought that the light curtain would punish them, but in the end, nothing happened. This made him feel relieved. The big-headed son looked unhappy and said, why don't we get any reward? It's not fair. Big-head son, just be content. Didn't you hear how the people in that video scolded us? How could they possibly give us a reward? Just at this moment. Bang, bang. There was a knock on the door. Who could it be? Mr. Littlehead touched the back of his head, wondering who had come to their house at this time. Here it comes. When Mr. Bean opened the door, he saw a fist rapidly enlarged in his eyes. Bang! Before Mr. Littlehead could come to his senses, he was knocked to the ground by a punch. His glasses fell to the ground and broke into pieces. Uncle Mao and Xiaoming's father, Big Head Son, looked at the two people standing at the door and was stunned. The punch just now was from Uncle Mao. Recalling the video just now, Big Head felt something was wrong. Could it be that he was here to seek revenge on them? You tooted, it's illegal. Mr. Littlehead was so frightened that he didn't dare to stand up and said timidly, illegal? You guys actually tease me like this. Today I have to teach you two a lesson. Hearing the word illegal, Uncle Mao was even more angry. You know it's illegal, but you didn't know it when you stole my water, right? Humph. Xiaoming's father snorted coldly behind him. You two are bullying my son, right? You really think we are easy to bully, right? Today, neither of you can leave. The door was closed, and inside, the big-headed son and the small-headed father wailed like pigs being slaughtered. The screen flickered again, and a new video began to appear. Check out Nobi's titles in the 3rd issue. Sharpshooter, the last piece of the puzzle of the 3 top talents. Doraemon Universe, Nobita's home. Sharpshooter, Nobita's shooting talent, is really amazing. Doraemon nodded. This title was not unexpected to him. He knew how terrifying Nobita's shooting talent was a long time ago. It's okay. Nobita touched his head, feeling a little embarrassed. But he was still very confident in his shooting skills. He even thought that there was no one in the world who was better at shooting than him. I'm really looking forward to it, Shizuka said with a smile. Hey. Hearing Shizuka's words, Nobita 923 suddenly burst into a strange laugh. Sharpshooter, finally a title that sounds normal, Kara nodded with satisfaction, looking at the light curtain expectantly. Sharpshooter, the doctor smiled and said, Nobita's talent is really enviable. Not only is he talented in kendo, he is also talented in shooting. These are the talents I always wanted when I was a kid. Hey, was the doctor also interested in shooting and kendo before? Kara was slightly startled. She thought the doctor would also bury his head in reading. Of course, because it looks cool to do it. The doctor sighed, as if he was reminiscing about his past. It's just a pity that I am a complete mess in these two aspects. Even more miserable than Catwalk. Roar! Is Mr. Nobita's new title the Sharpshooter? It sounds so cool, Achira shouted excitedly. The 3 top titles. Does that mean that Nobita's talent in marksmanship is far higher than his talent in kendo? That's really something to look forward to. Kalulu also said with a smile, Sharpshooter, is it the kind of sharpshooter in the Western cowboy movies? Xiaomi looked at the screen and couldn't help but think of the cowboy in the Western movie he had watched before. That should be the case. Ao nodded, but then he thought of something and sighed heavily. Hey, when I think about how I thought Nobita was similar to Xiaomi at first, it seems that I was totally wrong now. Xiaomi raised his eyebrows and said nothing. Hello, Sharpshooter, Sword Master. Why would such titles appear on a child? Zhang Chulan couldn't help but complain. He could hypnotize himself with the titles of God of Sleep and God of Skipping Ropes. But Sword Master and his Sharpshooter couldn't do that. These 2 titles looked ridiculously powerful. This made Zhang Chulan feel a strong sense of frustration. He had lived so long, and in the end, he was told that he was just an elementary school student. It was a bit too discouraging. It's okay, Chulan. Su Si patted Zhang Chulan on the shoulder. This is what is called a genius. Listen to me. We won't compete with him. Chapter 50. 6 shots all hit the target. Top shooting talent Conan world. Inside the Maori Detective Agency, Kagoro, who was drinking, looked up at the light screen and suddenly had a feeling. Yoho, a sharpshooter, he turned to look at his daughter beside him and said with a chuckle, Xiaolan, let me tell you, Dad used to be a sharpshooter. In the police station, no one's shooting skills could beat mine. When I think of these things, I really miss them. Belch, Kaguro burped, and a look of nostalgia appeared on his face. Xiaolan heard this and immediately said with a squint, Dad, don't drink in broad daylight. If you were really a sharpshooter, Mom wouldn't have. Xiaolan stopped talking halfway through. But Kagoro understood what Xiaolan wanted to say next. A complicated look flashed across his drunken face, and he murmured to himself in a low voice. There's a reason for that. Puni Bear's world, interesting. Bald King also became interested. I didn't expect that Nobita is a sharpshooter just like me, Brother King. However, after hearing what Bald King said, Xiong Air exposed him mercilessly. Come on, Bald King, you are the only sharpshooter. Last time you were shooting at me in Xiongda with a shotgun from behind, but you ran out of bullets and didn't hit me at all. Xiongda also mocked. That's right, Bald King, you are such a boaster. Cough, cough. Bald King was immediately choked by the 2 men, and then he shouted angrily. What do you 2 stinky bears know? I just don't want to hit you. To avoid getting in trouble with the Animal Protection Association, you don't think I really can't hit it, do you? Yes. Xiongda and Xiong'er nodded. Guang Tu Qiang. In the light curtain sharpshooter. This is the most terrifying talent of Nobita, no doubt about it. And Nobita's shooting talent is innate, and he has not received any acquired training. Nobita's shooting talent is so terrifying that it is no exaggeration to call him the best in the universe. However, since Nobita lives in a peaceful era, his shooting talent cannot be highlighted. The next second, the text disappeared, and the picture slowly appeared on the light screen. The picture shows a Western-style town. Now, a shooting competition is being held in the town. The rules are simple. The targets are 6 empty bottles, and cans placed on a wooden table. Each contestant has 6 bullets in his gun, and he will pass as long as he hits 2 of the 6 bullets. First contestant, please take your seat. A white-haired old man shouted. He was the referee of this shooting competition. Here I come. A rough voice sounded, and then a burly man with a thick beard walked out of the crowd. Nobita and Doraemon were also in the crowd. Looking at the first contestant, Nobita couldn't help but sigh. It seems very strong. Doraemon nodded and said, he looks like a man from the West. Are you ready? I'm at your service anytime. The man said calmly, with a strong sense of confidence in his tone. Tuck. The whistle blows. The man immediately drew the pistol from his waist and opened fire without any hesitation. Bang, 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 bang. In an instant, several gunshots continued, echoing throughout the screen. However, the empty bottle on the wooden table is just broken. Only one hit failed. Is there anything wrong with this gun? The bearded man looked at the gun in his hand in disbelief. That's not the case. The referee explained how strange. Finally, the bearded man had no choice but to leave, leaving behind a dejected figure. At the same time, after seeing this scene, everyone in the heavens and the worlds almost burst out laughing. No way. The corners of Pigman's mouth twitched, he blinked, and ruthlessly complained. This guy's tone is so pretentious. I thought he was a good shot. It turns out that he is just good at talking. Bobby on the side mocked. He only hit 1 out of 6 shots. I think I can do it. Where does this guy get the courage to participate in a shooting competition? Superman glanced at Bobby, and Bobby reacted immediately. Of course, if you boss, go up. You can definitely hit all 6 shots. Ha ha ha, of course. Superman laughed loudly. This human are you here to make fun of me? Seeing this scene, even Lilialu, who is a robot, complained subconsciously. Judo flew beside Lilialu. Humans are really a group of stupid creatures. Only Nobita seems to be a little smarter. It seems that the Commander-in-Chief's plan to capture the Earthlings can be easily accomplished. The video screen continued to play. Soon, the second contestant came out. He was a handsome, white-faced man. Tuck. The whistle sounded again. The white-faced man chuckled, took out the gun from his waist, then pulled the trigger and fired directly. The result was slightly better than the bearded man's, as he hit 2 bullets. 2 hits passed, next one. Hearing the old man's words, a little fat boy excitedly rushed out from the crowd and shouted excitedly, it's my turn, it's my turn. But the ending was quite bleak, and I missed the target with 1 shot. The next one was a girl. Her situation was not much better than the fat boy. The bullet not only did not hit the bottle, but also hit the old man. Super Beast World. Huolin Fei touched his head with confusion in his eyes. Are you sure this is a shooting competition? It seems that their shooting skills are not as good as mine. Miao Qiaojuan touched his chin and felt that what Huolin Fei said made sense. Yes, so many players have already played, and the best result is only 2 shots. It's a bit ridiculous. Tianyu laughed. Don't worry. Have you heard a saying that the strong ones always appear last? Doraemon Universe. Nobita's home. Nobita's eyes went dark when he saw this scene. Do I really have to compete with these guys in shooting? Hearing Nobita's words, Fat Tiger turned his head and looked at Nobita with doubt in his eyes. What's wrong, Nobita? Don't you have any confidence? No, Nobita shook his head and explained, I just think it's a bit too bullying to compete with these guys in shooting. After all, in Nobita's opinion, these guys are really too bad. He felt that even if he was blindfolded, he could shoot more accurately than these guys. Participating in this kind of shooting competition, he always felt a bit like bullying children, a bit weird. Next is a boy who looks a bit arrogant. If I have to describe him, he looks like a combination of Sunio and Ahi. It makes people feel a little uncomfortable, but no matter how unhappy it is, this guy's shooting skills are still pretty good. He hit 5 shots in total, which is the best result among all the contestants so far. Then many players came on stage, but their strengths were uneven. Some were good and some were bad. Doraemon also played, with a score of 3, which was neither good nor bad. The last person to come on stage. It's Nobita. It's the ancient's turn. Everyone, please hide well. You don't know where the bullet will fly. The fat guy, the girl who hit the referee, and the guy who currently ranks last seemed to have a grudge against Nobita. When they see him on the court, they immediately start to sneer at him. But Nobita's mentality was not affected because he had absolute confidence in his marksmanship. Laugh as you please, although I may not be good at other things. I am a genius in shooting. Nobita's eyes were fixed on the front. After hearing the referee's whistle, in an instant, Nobita pulled out his pistol at a speed that was almost invisible to the naked eye and pulled the trigger. His movements were smooth and there was no drag at all. But in the end, only a bottle fell down, only one shot. Failed. The referee announced the 3 people who saw this scene burst into laughter, mocking Nobita wantonly, with contempt in their eyes. The ancient people were really unqualified. The audience outside the screen were also stunned at this time. They didn't expect Nobita to achieve such a result. They were expecting Nobita to show off and give those foul-mouthed guys a slap in the face. If he was a sharpshooter, he should have at least hit 5 of the 6 shots, if not all of them. But in the end, he only hit 1. This doesn't match the title of sharpshooter at all. Hey, you're a sharpshooter. Why did you only hit 1 target? Yeah, it's too weird. Even Doraemon can't compare to it. No way. He can be called a sharpshooter just like that. Are you kidding me? Many people scratched their heads, confused, not understanding what was going on. Some people who couldn't wait even started to question Nobita. But soon, the following scene immediately left those who doubted speechless. Please look carefully. Nobita picked up the empty can on the ground and walked to the referee. Only then did the referee suddenly discover that there were 6 densely packed bullet holes on the empty can. 0.6 holes. The referee was stunned. He had never expected this to happen. Nobita shook the empty can and it made a rattling sound. The bullet is in the can. With a slight tilt, the bullets in the can fell out, 6 rounds in total, not 1 less. Everyone present reacted. Nobita didn't just hit 1 shot, but all 6 shots hit the same target. It is much more difficult than hitting 6 targets with 6 shots respectively. 6 hits pass. Doraemon universe. Nobita's home, so awesome. Fat Tiger looked at Nobita in surprise. I didn't expect that you, Nobita, are such a good marksman. Yes, this shooting skill is really terrible, isn't it? Xiaofu also shouted, it's just so. Nobita waved his hands, but he was still a little happy to be praised like this. Call, it really scared me. I thought you made a mistake, Nobita. Shizuka exhaled, then looked at Nobita with a smile. Doraemon also said, if it was a mistake, I'm afraid this video would not be released. However, you guys cannot trust Nobita in other aspects, but you can trust him 100% when it comes to shooting. Even I have never seen Nobita shoot with an empty gun. It is really amazing. Nobita touched his head. Empty gun? It seems a bit difficult for me. Damn it, you actually said such a pretentious thing. Nobita, I'm just telling the truth. All 6 shots hit the target. Nobita is too awesome. Miyako's eyes flickered as she looked at Nobita in the picture with admiration. You are indeed a sharpshooter. Full Moon Pastor stroked his beard and laughed. So that's how it is. No wonder only 1 jar, Zhao Qian's, fell down. Seeing the scene in the video, Pigsy suddenly realized and was surprised by Nobita's terrible shooting skills. Oh my god, this is too accurate. Huolin Fei was stunned and felt very uneasy. So cool. Grandpa, can you shoot? I want to learn it too. Tian Xiaoban looked at Nobita in the picture and suddenly felt that Nobita's ordinary face became much more handsome. Then, he looked at his grandfather behind him and asked, oh, do you want to learn shooting? Actually, Grandpa knows a little bit about it. Tian Mark smiled and replied, Grandpa, how does your shooting skill compare to Nobita's? Can you beat him? Xiaoban continued to ask. Hearing this, Tian Mark's mouth twitched and he laughed dryly. Nobita is a sharpshooter, and your grandpa only knows a little bit. How can we be comparable? Okay. Xiaowen blinked her eyes. She felt that her grandfather's identity seemed to be becoming more and more mysterious. Conan World, Yoho Chun. Kagoro sobered up a little and looked at the picture with interest, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. I didn't expect that Nobita, who is so young, has better marksmanship than I thought. No wonder he was said to be very talented at the beginning. If I go through systematic training, it will be unimaginable. Hey, suddenly, Kagoro sighed. But what's the use of having accurate shooting skills? The most important thing is the courage to shoot. Chapter 51. What is the courage of a sharpshooter? No gun is better than a gun. Nobita's high-energy clip the video did not end, and it quickly switched to the next video. On this day, Nobita was walking leisurely on the road. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Next, the sound of panicked shouts from the crowd and broken glass. Nobita stopped and looked forward and found that the sound came from a bank. And a large number of people gathered in front of the bank, and one of them shouted, "It's a robbery! Call 110! Unable to resist his curiosity, Nobita walked over to see what was going on. A masked man with a gun was standing in the bank. "Don't move. If you move again, I will shoot." But soon, Nobita, who was joining in the fun, suddenly changed his expression, with worry and anger appearing on his face. Because Shizuka was actually in the bank, sitting on the ground, her face pale, her cute face filled with fear. How come? That's Shizuka. When Shizuka's mother saw this, her face turned pale, her hands were tightly entangled, and her eyes revealed a deep worry. "Dad, what do you think would happen if something happened to Shizuka?" "Woo-woo." Shizuka's mother leaned on Shizuka's father's chest, crying, "Don't worry. Nothing will happen to Shizuka." Shizuka's father comforted her, but his shaking hands proved that his heart was not as calm as it seemed. "Shizuka is now in your care. You must protect her well." Shizuka's father looked at Nobita in the picture, hoping that Nobita could stand up. However, he also knew that his idea was very selfish. After all, Nobita and Shizuka were just friends now, and there was no need for Nobita to take such a big risk for Shizuka. You have to know that the gangster had a gun in his hand, and he could die if he was not careful. Fruity Robo World, wow. Isn't that Shizuka? It's over. Shizuka is in danger now. Do you think Nobita will rush in to rescue Shizuka? Pineapple Blowing Snow looked at his two good friends and asked. Chung Liuxiang thought for a while and said, "Because he will. I think Nobita seems to like Shizuka very much, so he will not ignore her no matter what." 553. You never know. Lu Xiao was said, "This is a robbery. If anything goes wrong, the robber will probably shoot me in the head." At this time, even couples in the passionate love period probably don't dare to go in and save their significant other. After all, this could cost your life. That makes sense. Pineapple Blowing Snow nodded. Lu Xiao continued. Even if Nobita really dares to go in, how can he rescue Shizuka? How can an unarmed child be a match for an adult with a gun? There are many people who think like Lu Xiaoba, because according to the current situation, they really couldn't find a way for Nobita to succeed. So although they didn't want to admit it, rescuing Shizuka was not practical. Many people stare at the light curtain, and they were also very curious about what Nobita would do in this situation. Would he just watch from the side, or choose to turn a blind eye and run away? Or would he choose to stand up? The picture on the light curtain continued to play. Looking at the frightened Shizuka, Nobita's eyes gradually became determined. Next, a rhythmic music sounded under the shocked gazes of the people around him. Nobita slowly walked towards the bank step by step. "It's not ready yet. Put it in for me." Just preparing, suddenly, the robber turned his head, looked at the figure that suddenly appeared and shouted, "Who is it?" "My name is Quick Shooter Nobita." Nobita slowly raised his head and stared at the robber without any fear in his eyes. "Quick Shooter Nobita." The robber was stunned, then raised his gun and pointed it at Daxiong. "Nobita." Shizuka, beside him, also shouted in surprise, facing the muzzle of the gun. Daxiong still showed no fear on his face. He continued to raise his legs and gradually approach the robber. Seeing this scene, a drop of cold sweat slid down the robber's forehead. He always felt that the child in front of him seemed strange, and his mood suddenly became nervous. How could Nobita do such a dangerous thing? Nobita was so frightened that her head felt dizzy. She didn't expect her son to do such a bold thing. "Nobita, please don't let anything happen to you. Happy Superman world, blame the general. This Nobita is so brave." The little weirdo stared at Nobita in the picture and said in a daze, "Yes." Datagwai nodded, very surprised in his heart. He didn't change his expression at all when a gun was pointed at him. I didn't expect that Nobita is also a ruthless person. Hey, I think back to when I was young. I was full of vigor and vitality. Big Monster looked at the fat on his body and felt very complicated. If he hadn't been framed in the elevator, how could he have fallen to such a state now? The world of Digimon in the first part Taichi. Nobita actually went straight in. Agumon had been paying attention to the screen the whole time and said crisply after seeing Nobita walk into the bank. Taichi smacked his lips, shook his head, and said, "Nobita's courage is simply amazing. He is so calm in this situation. If he were in our world, it would be better to give him this badge of courage." What about your badge, Tai?" Hearing this, Tai chuckled and pointed at himself. "As for me, I'll just take a friendship badge. I think I should be barely qualified." "Of course, Taichi." Agumon nodded quickly. Taichi was the only one in the team who valued his companions the most. However, after hearing Taichi's words, the expressions of the others became a little strange. They couldn't help but look at Ahi, who was sitting on the other side with a gloomy expression. Taichi's words just now were simply murderous. Now, Ahi can be said to have nothing. The Digimon is gone, and the Tyrannosaurus is useless. Even his younger brother, Ah Wu, dare not get close to him. "Humph!" Ahi snorted coldly and said indifferently, "Don't be fooled by the calm appearance of Nobita. I'm afraid he has been scared to death in his heart." "So what?" Tai asked back. "If it were someone else, I'm afraid they wouldn't even have the courage to show it and would have run away with their tail between their legs." "Asshole, what did you say?" Ahi roared. Tai actually dared to humiliate him like this. Tai spread his hands and said, "I didn't mention your name. Why are you so angry?" The video screen continued to play. For a moment, the atmosphere became a little subtle. After a long while, Nobita said calmly, "Drop the gun before I count to 3. Otherwise, this guy will open fire." Nobita's hand, hidden in his pocket, moved slightly, as if there was a gun in his pocket. The robber became even more nervous when he saw this scene, and he stammered, "Explain, what are you talking about? How could a kid carry a gun?" Although he said this, the sweat on his forehead completely exposed his fear. "Oh!" Nobita raised his eyebrows slightly, with a hint of a smile on his lips, as if everything was under his control. "Then give it a try." 1, 2. The robber stared at Nobita intently, and in an instant, even his body began to tremble uncontrollably. It was as if the person standing in front of him was not a child, but a master of marksmanship who was full of dangerous aura. Now, Nobita actually exuded an extremely strong sense of oppression, which made the robbers feel a vague sense of danger. It seems that if Nobita really counts to 3, things will be disastrous. His heart was like a stretched spider thread, gradually breaking. Nobita's eyes fixed, no longer as calm as before, but like a lion about to get angry, tearing at the robber's already unbearable heart and making him collapse completely. The robber was finally unable to withstand Nobita's powerful aura and collapsed to the ground with a look of fear on his face. His finger accidentally pressed the trigger, and the shotgun in his hand went off. But there was no sound of a bullet being fired, but a streamer was shot out. That shotgun was just a toy gun. Doraemon universe. At Nobita's home, Nobita. The look in your eyes just now was really scary. Doraemon couldn't help but say, "Oh, is that so?" Nobita didn't feel it. He just thought his performance just now was so cool. "That's right, even I was scared." Fat Tiger nodded quickly. When he thought of Nobita's eyes just now, he couldn't help but tremble all over, as if he was stared at by something dangerous. "It's really scary, isn't it, Shizuka?" Sunio shook his head in agreement, then looked at Shizuka. "No." Shizuka shook her head gently, then hugged her cheeks with both hands, her face flushed. "I think Nobita was so handsome just now. Thank you for saving me, Nobita." Nobita touched his head and said, "I said I will definitely protect Shizuka." After seeing that the robber's gun was fake, Nobita slowly took his hand out of his pocket. There was no gun in it, it was just his hand. "Catch him, be quiet." Next second, one of the police rushed in and controlled the robber. Nobita. Shizuka, who survived the disaster, also stood up from the ground in a hurry, ran to Nobita, and held Nobita's hands. "Thank you, so cool." Nobita smiled lightly. "It's no big deal." Kamen Rider 01 World. Hiding group? Ah, the development of things is really unexpected. Fadian Oren scratched his head. This ending was indeed something he had not expected. But what was that aura of Nobita just now? It felt like those super sharpshooters in the movies. Although Nobita is a great marksman, he is still just an elementary school student. How can he have such a terrifying aura? Hayden Ordo was a little confused. He was so scared by Nobita that he dared not move. It was a little too incredible for such a temperament to appear in an elementary school student. Amazing. Isn't it the legendary saying that no gun is better than a gun? It's really cool. Xiaomi's eyes lit up, his hands clenched into fists, and he shouted excitedly. Nobita was so cool just now. That's what I dreamed of. Hearing Xiaomi's words, Ding Dong hit him mercilessly. If this really happened in real life, you would probably be scared to the point of peeing your pants. Hearing this, Xiaomi said unhappily, "What do you mean? Do you really dare to do it?" "Certainly, no." Tao Su looked at Nobita in the picture with a glimmer of yearning in her eyes. "Nobita is so handsome and brave. I really envy that Shizuka." As expected of Mr. Nobita, he is so cool. Atira shouted excitedly. Sai Xiaozhi sucked in a breath of cold air. "This Nobita is so scary. If it were me, I would not dare to go in. After all, if the robber's gun is real, it would be dangerous." But Calula touched her chin and said, "I really felt the aura of a sharpshooter from Nobita just now." No wonder the robber was frightened. Call. After seeing Shizuka out of danger, Shizuka's mother and father breathed a sigh of relief. "I was really scared just now. It would be terrible if something really happened to Shizuka. But Nobita really surprised me." Shizuka's mother was also very surprised by Nobita's behavior just now, and she looked at Nobita with even more favor, as if she was looking at her future son-in-law. Yes, it seems that Shizuka is very lucky to find a boy like Nobita. Shizuka's father has no complaints about Nobita at this moment. Not everyone can risk their lives to save their loved ones. What's more, Nobita is just a child now, but he has such courage, which is precious. So, the child's father, you also agree. Of course, I feel relieved to leave Shizuka to Nobita. But mother, they haven't even graduated from elementary school yet. Isn't it too early? Shizuka's mother rolled her eyes at her silly husband. What do you know? A boy like Nobita will definitely be given to other girls if Shizuka doesn't hurry up. Do you think that only our Shizuka likes this outstanding boy? When Nobita grows up, I'm afraid there will be no shortage of girls around him. Then, Shizuka will be under a lot of pressure. As the saying goes, those who are close to water get the moon first. So we must build a solid relationship with them when they are young. Is that so? Shizuka's father scratched his head. He had never thought that far. Post views 47. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 052, Chapter 52. 1 verses 300, Sweeping the West, the legend left behind by Nobita, the video, changes again. However, unlike the previous two videos, this time it is broadcast in the form of commentary. This is Nobita Nobi, as you've never seen him before. Holding two toy guns, you can travel from the virtual video games of the 22nd century to the Eagle Country West of the 19th century. He single-handedly took on 300 heavily armed bandits until it swept across the West, leaving endless legends for future generations. Just a few short sentences, but it brought great shock to everyone in the world. He single-handedly took on 300 bandits and swept across the entire West. This sounds so cool. Atiera's pupils shrank, and he felt the blood in his body boiling. As expected of Mr. Nobita, he is so passionate. Atiera roared to the sky, and his huge voice made Sai Xiaozi, Calulu, and Xiaomi cover their ears unconsciously. Why is this Atiera like a fanatical star chaser now? Sai Xiaoxi compliant. Hearing this, Calula nodded helplessly. Yes, but it's a bit too exaggerated for one person to sweep away 300 horse bandits, and they are armed to the teeth. Nobita is just a little kid. No wonder that guy got so excited. Doraemon Universe. In the Mermaid Kingdom, so cool. Sophia looked at the screen excitedly, with little stars appearing in her eyes one after another. One man against 300? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Unless this Nobita is a monster. Little Harry looked at the light screen in shock, with an expression of disbelief on his face. What's wrong? Little Harry, why is it impossible? Sophia asked in confusion. Princess, you don't know how exaggerated it is for one person to fight against 300 people. Even the most powerful and mighty warrior in our mermaid country can probably only barely fight against about 10 ordinary soldiers, not to mention that they are armed to the teeth. I really can't think of how to win in this situation. Little Harry sighed and patiently explained to Sophia, Oh, now that you said that, I feel that Nobita is even more powerful in the alien world. On the top of Longhu Mountain, one man versus 300? The number of people is really huge. The old Taoist gently stroked his white beard and looked at the light screen with a smile on his face. 300 people, even for me to come here, takes some effort. I really look forward to how Daxiong did it. On the side, Zhang Lingyu heard the old master's words, and his cold expression could not help but twitch his mouth. 300 people only take some effort. It seems that the master's pretending skills are getting better and better. In the light curtain, this day, Nobita relied on his universe-level marksmanship to kill everyone in the game. And in just a few minutes, he broke the highest record of the game in the 22nd century. And, still at the highest level of difficulty, completed the customs clearance without any damage. This made the blue fat man raise his finger. And he was impressed that Nobita, who had almost no merits except kindness, actually had such a talent that could turn the tide of war in times of war. Nobita's home, this guy is so rude. Doraemon was so angry that his face turned red. What do you mean by blue fat man? I have a name. Nobita joked. Haha, but the title of blue fat man really suits you, Doraemon. What does this mean? Doraemon puffed up his cheeks and looked at Nobita like a hamster. Wait, I just found out, Doraemon, you actually have fingers. Xiaofu was very surprised. He always thought Doraemon's hands were just white balls. What are you talking about? I am an advanced robot. Of course I have fingers. Shizuka narrowed her eyes and laughed. Then I can play rock, paper, scissors with Doraemon in the future. At the same time, in the 22nd century, hey, I know that game. It's a super popular Western shooting game in the 22nd century. Sure Xiao recognized the game on the screen at a glance and was extremely surprised. I didn't expect my great-grandfather to be so good. I heard that the record list of that game is super fierce. Even world-class shooting players are playing it. I didn't expect that the record was broken so easily by my great-grandfather. If other people saw it, they would probably be scared. Doraemon smiled and said, But now that you mentioned it, it's a good idea to let Nobita become a shooting athlete. With Nobita's shooting skills, it shouldn't be too difficult for him to win a world championship. The video screen continued to play. Nobita believes that if he was born in the Old West, he would be a legendary sharpshooter. In this regard, the blue fat man told Nobita not to have any wild ideas. With your cowardly personality, you will probably either run away or faint when a real gunfight begins. So, don't even think about the sharpshooter. As the saying goes, official complaints are the most deadly. The blue fat man's words hit Nobita's self-esteem hard, and in order to prove himself, Nobita ate the translation konjac. Driving a time machine, we are about to set off to the western part of Eagle Country in the 19th century translation konjac. One of the props in Doraemon's four-dimensional pocket. It looks like a square piece of konjac. Once you eat it, you can understand any language, whether it is the language of the Earth or the language of aliens, and you can achieve zero communication barriers. It is a must-have artifact for traveling. Zombie World. After seeing the translation of konjac, Bai Xiaofei couldn't help but let his imagination run wild. Hey, if I eat this translation konjac, will I be able to communicate with those zombies? I can even hook up a few female zombies and bring them back. No, I absolutely cannot betray Xiaowei. But that group of zombies don't look like they have brains, By Xiaofei sighed, then kicked this unrealistic idea out of his mind and continued watching the video. Pokemon World. Xiaozhi was very surprised. Nobita's world actually has a time machine? So magical. Xiaoxia nodded gently. What kind of experience is it to travel through time and space? It's really curious. I won't mention the toy guns or anything like that. Anyway, Nobita's courage is admirable. The place of birth is a graveyard, and in front of it is a small town that looks desolate. This town is called Mogo. A group of bandits have been running rampant here for many years, making the town miserable. Nobita, who had just entered the town, happened to encounter a duel between a bearded man from a bandit organization and the town's 18th sheriff this year. In the picture, a bearded man who didn't look like a good guy and a man in a sheriff's uniform were facing each other, and the atmosphere was tense. The next second, the two men almost simultaneously pulled out their gun from their waists and pulled the trigger. The bullet was ejected, and the sound of it cutting through the air echoed in Nobita's ears. Nobita is just as the blue fat man said. He fainted after hearing the gunshot, and when he woke up, a beautiful girl with a gentle appearance and the temperament of a big sister next door came into his sight. The girl introduced herself as Beth, the daughter of Mayor Mogo, but Nobita, who is aiming to sweep across the West, has no time to flirt with girls. Nobita is seen carrying 2 toy guns and planning to go and suppress
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.